Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marine Execution Officer. Roger was executed at the beginning. Chapter 61. Rayleigh squinted at the Storm-Coon bear. The long sword in his hand was put away, and he slowly said, "It's a good choice to arrange Luffy to impel down. In impel down, it is not necessarily, it will come and save Luffy. If it's at Marineford, if Luffy's current strength is used rashly, I am afraid it will be difficult to survive. This is Dragon's idea. Dragon and Sabo have decided to participate in this war. Rescue of Ace is only one of them." Violent Kun Shang still has a gentle tone. "The Revolutionary Army, is it going to show its fangs?" Rayleigh said in surprise. "This will happen sooner or later, just taking advantage of the trend." Pluton also seemed interested in going to Marineford. Quote, Riot Kun Shang raised his palm. "Yeah, I really didn't expect Ace to have this relationship, the old man, I had to do it." Rayleigh's eyes shined with memories. Roger patted Rayleigh on the shoulder for the last time and said, "I won't die, brother." Violent Kun Shang paused, as if he wanted to say something. Rayleigh waved his hand and said with a smile, "I'm just an old man who is going to save my brother and son. Although I have to trouble you to send me there, I still don't want to act with the Revolutionary Army." Storm Kun Shang nodded. If the war is over, no matter which side wins, if Rayleigh acts together with the Revolutionary Army, he will be labeled as the Revolutionary Army, and there will be no such casual retirement life in the future. "Okay then." Violent Kun Shang put on a please pose. Marineford. At 11:40, time began to approach. Several pirate ships arrived in the crescent-like port of Naval Headquarters. The Marines pointed to the pirate boats in surprise. "That's 7 warlords of the sea. Gecko Moria. Only one canoe came here." Marine pointed in the other direction. "Idiot, that's Shichibukai, Hawkeye, Mihawk, the world's #1 swordsman." The Marine soldiers breathed in. The world's #1 swordsman. Mihawk sits on a small boat with short black hair, sharp yellow eyes like an eagle, a short beard, a black top hat with white fluff, and the world's strongest black knife on his back, Knight. Those eagle-like eyes are said to be scared no matter what kind of enemy sees it. Suddenly, the Marines cheered, looking at the pirate ship appearing not far away. "That's Amazon, Lily's ship. That's. As he spoke, the Marine was speechless. "The Pirate Empress. Boya, Hancock." All Marines' eyes turned into heart shapes, looking at the peerless beauty on the bow. This is simply beyond words. Lu Fang, who was standing under the execution platform, was also attracted by the cheers of Marine soldiers. Hancock. Lu Fang also saw the Pirate Empress, who astounded the audience. "It is indeed more beautiful and mature than it was in the past." "The Pirate Empress, it's beautiful, isn't it?" Guyon's voice rang from his ears. Lu Fang nodded subconsciously. The sound is not quite right." Guyon looked at Lu Fang with a smile. "Ahem, it's okay. Really, don't be distracted during the execution, just patronize the beauties." Guyon stood up straight, and said righteously, "Will not." Lu Fang chuckled. At this time, under the perception of seeing, hearing and color, the Storm-Coon bear appeared on the wall of Marine's defense line. On the other side, impel down. The clone Lu Fang in the room on the ground floor opened his eyes. The corners of the mouth rose slightly. "Wong Luffy is finally here." The figure disappeared in the room instantly. On the ground floor, next to the disinfection area. "Ah, Luffy, this is the legendary big prison under the sea, the atmosphere inside is so gloomy." Usopp touched his arms, the goosebumps were all up. "Okay, everyone, attack." Luffy took out the small piece of life paper from the straw hat very wittily, and the direction was down. "Luffy, you should be able to get in here." Zoro pointed to the door of the disinfection area and said, "One floor can indeed be entered here. There happened to be no jailer here." Near Lu Fang's room, Lu Fang also dismantled the surveillance phone worm. Zoro drew out 2 knives, and once cut, the iron gate was cut open like tofu. Luffy took the lead directly over the boiling hot water. Sanji, Zoro, Chopper and the others helped each other jump over. Luffy walked down the stairs. The screams of tormenting prisoners came vaguely. "It really is hell." Robin and others felt the breath of Impel down underground, and their faces changed. Luffy worried about Ace faster and ran faster. At this time, 2 jailers on guard spotted Luffy and his gang who had broken in. There are intruders. The alarm started to sound. The jailers responded quickly. Rubber rubber, pistol. 180 trouble wind. Sidekick. After 3 great battles, several jailers were quickly knocked down. The alarm has sounded, we must hurry. A group of people ran down, making a fuss on the first floor, searching for Ace. 6 underground floors, eternal hell. Sakazuki and Marine escorted Ace to the elevator. Magellan followed. At this time, the phone worm rang the alarm. Warden, someone broke in from outside. What? Magellan was shocked. Sakazuki looked back at Magellan and said, Guardian Magellan, I will escort Firefist Ace to Marineford first. There is no room for delay. You can do it yourself here. I see. Magellan nodded. Follow Sakazuki on the elevator and go up. Just when Luffy was looking for Ace at Crimson Hell on the first floor, Sakazuki escorted Ace from the elevator to the ground floor. Luffy, the Straw Hat Boy. In a large cell on the first floor, Buggy, the clown with a red nose, looked at Luffy with an incredible expression. It's you, Red Nose. Do you know where Ace is? Luffy saw an acquaintance, and the group stopped. Buggy, Straw Hat Crew showed a cold expression. At this time the jailer had not caught up. Boy with straw hat, you open the prison door to let me out, and I'll tell you. Buggy narrowed his eyes to Crescent, and said with a smile. Good. Luffy agreed without hesitation, looking at Zoro. Although Zoro is reluctant to agree to Buggy, Buggy knows where Ace is. With 2 swords, the prison door was cut directly. Uncle Buggy is going to be free. Ha ha ha. The clown Buggy ran out, laughing. Hey, Buggy, tell me, Luffy said impatiently. Hurry up to save Ace. Idiot, why are you looking for it on the first floor? Buggy said mockingly. Lair. Of course, the level of Fire Fist Ace is either the 4th or the 5th. Buggy simply popularized Impel down to Straw Hat Crew. At this time, more jailers had chased them. Nami and the others were shocked. Luffy grabbed Buggy and took the lead. Go, take me to find Ace. Guang, Warden, the identity of the unknown intruder has been determined. It is Straw Hat Crew, and Buggy the Clown followed. Now they have broken into the 2nd basement. In the 2nd floor detention room, the jailer who watched the surveillance screen reported. Magellan was returning from the ground floor and said without panic. Let the deputy warden Hannibal hold 1 floor and prevent them from returning to escape. Yes. Before the jailer finished speaking, there was a roar. Hey, what happened? Magellan gritted his teeth, and it seemed that the 2nd floor guard room had also been breached. What do these guys want to do? This is a big prison under the sea, and there is no way to escape in the end. Luffy and his group took the clown Buggy and jumped into the 2nd floor from the spiked forest on the 1st floor. As soon as I arrived on the 2nd floor, I encountered a huge monster, which Buggy said was born of a chicken and a snake. Lu Fang, Zoro and the others didn't talk nonsense. Under Luffy's rubber giant fist, the monster beast directly smashed through the guard room. Behind him, a group of strange monsters surrounded him. Buggy, where does this level continue? Faced with these monsters, Luffy's team turned on their firepower and knocked them down all at once. The clown Buggy looked stunned. Luffy, if we continue to fight like this, we will only consume quickly, so we must hurry up. Sanji kicked a monster and said back. At this time, the prisoners in the surrounding cells looked at the Straw Hat Crew dumbfounded. Buggy's eyes turned and released all the prisoners. Hey, what are those? Brook saw a group of lion-faced monsters rushing towards him. Behind is a praying mantis with a sharp blade, a large group of Sasori. The clown Buggy saw his body torn apart in shock. This is the 2nd floor wild beast hell. These are all monsters of the demon world. Run. Straw Hat Crew saw a group of weird creatures, and ran subconsciously. Hey, Buggy, we can't keep running like this. As soon as Luffy finished shouting this sentence, a huge figure appeared in front of him. This is a bigger human face lion. Usopp, Nami and others are stupid there. A huge lion with a human face. This is Matacola, the most powerful jailer beast of this lair. The clown Buggy looked at him in horror. When Matacola turned his head, all the monsters that were chasing the Straw Hat Crew turned around and ran away. We can only fight. Zoro's black turban was tied to his head, and the 3rd knife bit his mouth. Luffy, Sanji and others also put on a fighting pose. In the port on the ground floor, Impel Down, which was heavily surrounded by warships, approached a pirate ship. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach led his crew to the gate. The Marines were horrified. "Shichibukai, you shouldn't be in Marineford." Blackbeard Teach laughed and showed a sinister look. "It is said that Impel Down encountered an intruder. I'm here to help, no thanks. Even Shichibukai can't enter the great undersea prison." Before Marine had finished speaking, a group of Blackbeard pirates took down a group of Marines. Teach laughed and walked into Impel Down with his subordinates. "Warden, on the ground floor, there is another outsider, Shichibukai Blackbeard Teach." In the guard room on the 4th floor, the jailer saw the picture of Blackbeard breaking in and quickly reported it to Magellan with a phone worm. "What?" Magellan was shocked. Another intruder came in. Still Shichibukai. Inside the elevator. "Contact the 6th floor and release Chief Warden Shiryu. Let Hannibal stop it first." Magellan ordered. "Go ahead and clean up the Straw Hat guys." On the other side, Luffy and his gang fought against Matacola. Luffy and Sanji stormed under their heads and finally knocked it out. Then he clung to Buggy, and swiftly went down to the 3rd floor. Why is the 3rd floor so hot? As soon as Nami, Robin and others reached the 3rd floor, a heat wave rose from under their feet. The 3-story starvation hell is constantly roasted by the heat wave of the underground blazing hell, and of course it is hot. The clown Buggy sticks his tongue out. "Well, let's go quickly." Luffy took the lead and walked to the front cell area. As soon as the group arrived in the cell area, a group of blue monsters surrounded them. "This is the kind of creature that was defeated above. Why are there so many here?" Sanji looked around. Something was wrong, so much surrounded him. "This is the jailer beast, the blue gorilla, you end here." A white suit and a hat, Sarudes holding a trident pointed at Straw Hat crew and said, "Everyone, look, this villain has spoken." Luffy pointed to Sarudes and spoke with interest. The trident in Saludes's hand blew across his mouth, and a flute sounded. The blue gorillas around immediately attacked. Coming. Sanji jumped to Nami and Robin's side, helping to resist. Luffy, Zoro, Chopper, Brook, Usopp, Frankie fight separately. These blue gorillas are very resistant and there are so many. At this time, a huge jailer beast ran out from the depths of the cell. "Big cow with mace. You deal with these, I will come to the big cow." Luffy's skin turned red, steaming out, and the second gear was turned on. Rushed towards the big cow. Zoro cut down the blue orangutan next to him, just wanting to come and help. A knife came suddenly. Zoro swung his knife to resist, then jumped away. He looked at Lu Fang, who was wearing Rear Admiral uniform and short black hair, standing in front of him, holding an ordinary long knife in his hand, and smiling faintly. "Lu Fang, Rear Admiral," Sarudes exclaimed in surprise. Lu Fang turned his head and smiled and nodded, holding a knife and interacting with Zoro slowly. And the clown Buggy sneaked to release the prisoners on the 3rd floor, and Mr. 3 was on this list. A group of people joined the battle, and the situation immediately reversed. The blue orangutan besieging Straw Hat crew was washed away and knocked down by the prisoners behind him. The prisoner who was released on the 2nd floor also ran down with a panic expression. A large group of people gathered together. Magellan and a group of jailers walked down from the 2nd floor. "Warden." Suddenly the prisoner and Straw Hat crew united, and Sarude just wanted to run away. Warden Magellan appeared at this time. "It's so reliable, Warden." "Sarudes, let your blue gorilla retreat." Magellan looked at Straw Hat crew. "I also saw Lu Fang who was still fighting against Zoro not far away. It feels like something is wrong." But the intruder and the escaped prisoner were all in front of him, and Magellan didn't think about it. A group of jailers raised their guns and began to scatter and surround. The clown Buggy looked flustered as the Straw Hat crewman said, "This is the strongest man in Impel Down. Magellan. And he is a poisonous fruit-capable person." Poisonous fruit. Nami and others were shocked. "There is no way, we can only fight them." Sanji took a puff of cigarette and looked around. The jailer surrounded them all. The blue gorilla had retreated to the periphery, and Luffy had just beaten the big cow on the ground with the support of the prisoner. Zoro and Lu Fang are still fighting each other. Magellan was walking towards them, surging all over, turning black and purple. 3 poisonous dragons composed of venom stretched out, and the dripping black and purple liquid corroded the ground and gave out mist. The whole body is venom. The crowd was horrified. How to attack this? Magellan didn't plan to solve it slowly. Shichibukai Blackbeard also came in. The poisonous dragon whizzed and rushed towards them. Hurry up! Everyone quickly jumped away. Frankie and Usopp hit them with cannonballs. Magellan didn't even hide. The small explosion didn't work. I will coat you with wax. Mr. 3 had an idea and wrapped Luffy and Sanji's hands and feet with wax. This way, the attack will not be afraid of the venom in the past. Everyone is overjoyed and can still operate like this. Unfortunately, Luffy and Sanji made an all-out attack in 07, and Magellan both resisted. Instead, the wrapped wax is constantly corroded. Zoro watched Luffy's situation getting worse, his eyes anxious. Lu Fang still played against Zoro in a hurry. Zoro gritted his teeth and assumed a 3-sword style. Ashura, 1 silver mist. 3 heads and 6 arms, as if 9 knives appeared. Cut to Lu Fang in an instant. Lu Fang's expression remained unchanged, pretending to be cut by Zoro and fell to the ground. Zoro put away the sword, finally heaved a sigh of relief in his heart, and beat the rear admiral on the ground. It's just a little strange. It seemed that he hadn't avoided or resisted just now. Could it be that it was deliberate? Lu Fang watched Zoro go to Magellan. His chest and clothes were healed as before. Let's make trouble, come to Marineford, and solve it together. Magellan venom is raging, and many prisoners are already covered with purple venom, screaming. Lu Fang. Magellan saw Zoro cut his sword, and then looked at Lu Fang lying on the ground. The body broke out again. Poisonous giant. The poisonous dragon shrank. Magellan seemed to incarnate into a huge skeleton, and 2 huge poisonous hands stretched out. The warden is going crazy. Tsurude and the jailers flashed farther. At this moment, a group of yin-yin-yan-yan, rough men rushed up from the 4th floor. Hip-hop. With a huge face, dark purple explosive hair, long and thick eyelashes, a ladyboy in a super low-cut jumpsuit took the lead and rushed out. The only thing that is normal is a man with lightning on his forehead, dressed in half white and half yellow. The clown buggy and straw hat crew are dumbfounded. This is the ladyboy king, Emporio Ivankov. Isn't he a prisoner on the 5th floor? Death, blink. Shemale King Ivankov rushed forward, blinking at Magellan with his big eyes. Magellan's poisonous hand facing Zoro was instantly dispelled. Zoro jumped away in a thrilling manner. Emporio Ivankov. Magellan's extended hand appeared again. Catch it, hip-hop, now is a great opportunity for Ivan to escape from prison. Shemale King Ivan once again blinked at death, resisting Magellan's giant hand. You are Straw Hat Crew. I really want to thank you for messing up Impel down. Ivan's group stopped. Straw Hat Crew looked at the Shemale King weirdly. I am a Revolutionary Army cadre, Emporio Ivankov. Quote. The Shemale King introduced himself. Straw Hat Crew was taken aback. Luffy, he is your father-long subordinate, Nami said in surprise. The Revolutionary Army still has such a weird existence. Yes, I am your father-long subordinate. Now it's time to escape from prison. Long needs us outside. What? Your father? The Shemale King just reacted. No, Luffy answered. Magellan's venom rushed over like a river. Careful. Mr. 3 created a wax wall and blocked it for a while, and everyone quickly moved away from the venom range. Do you think I don't exist? Magellan was angry, and he was still in the mood to chat there. The venom corroded the wax directly and surged over. Why did you come here and what are you going to do? When the Ladyboy King jumped away, he couldn't help thinking, monkeyed Luffy, it is really possible that he is the son of the dragon. We were sent in by Shichibukai's violent coon bear. Come and save my brother, Ace. Luffy answered quickly. Looking at Magellan, who is constantly using venom to attack, a group of people can only dodge desperately, nothing can be done. It's a bear. The Shemale King's brain is spinning fast. So Ace is also Long's son. The purpose of the bear sending them in may be to help him. The Ladyboy King was determined in his heart and said, Luffy boy, I can disperse the extended venom in a short time, you give him a full blow. I will put a layer of wax on you. Seeing that the Ladyboy King seemed to have a way, Mr. 3 quickly said to Luffy. The Shemale King said the offensive plan again. Luffy understood a little, and nodded. The rest spread out to prevent the support of the jailers. The man with the lightning sign on his forehead changed his hands into scissors, and cut the ground. The ground was like a piece of cloth, pulling out an oblique upward slope. Luffy ran up and jumped into the sky. Magellan was surprised at what he was going to do. Most of these prisoners have been poisoned, and if they continue to pursue them, there will be no way to escape. Luffy, who raised his head and looked into the air, turned into the air, so he was not polite, and his giant hand stretched up and rushed. 3 gears. Luffy jumped into the air, bit his finger and blew in. The giant hand swells and spins constantly. Mr. 3 saw the opportunity to coat Luffy's giant hand with a thick layer of wax. Rubber rubber. Maneuvering giant punch. The huge waxed fist whirled and hit Magellan. Magellan's eyes were solemn, and he wanted to attack him in this way. The venom went unabated, carrying the poisonous mist to Luffy in the air to grab it. And me, Magellan. The she-male king also ran to the cut slope of the ground at this time, leaping up. The huge face swayed in the air, and multiple huge faces appeared. Death, blink. Magellan was shocked, suffered. The she-male king blinked and impacted, dispelling the venom extending from Magellan's body. The body shape was shocked and stalemate for a while. The huge figure was completely exposed on Luffy, who was swooping down. The huge fist of the 3rd gear was spinning at a high speed and landed on Magellan. The thick layer of wax cuts off the poisonous body. Boom! The giant boxer had a big hole and it kept spinning. Magellan's entire body went into the pit. There was a jitter on the 3rd floor. The giant fist shrank, and Luffy also became a child. The thick wax cracked and pressed against Magellan's body in the big pit. With the cooperation of Luffy and others, Magellan was finally defeated. The jailers are horrified, at a loss. Straw Hat Boy, let's go down to save your brother. Magellan just fainted temporarily, and I'll be in trouble when I wake up soon. Ivan said quickly. Magellan is careless. Wake up again, I'm afraid I can't resist it anymore. Yes, everyone, go. Luffy and the others ran quickly. The prisoners and the clown buggy and others did not follow Luffy, but instead took advantage of this opportunity to go up and escape. Zoro turned his head and glanced at the direction where Lu Fang was lying. That rear admiral, it's gone. Lu Fang fainted early in Magellan and disappeared in place. Lair. Blackbeard Teach and his group encountered the jailers led by Hannibal, as well as Little Sachi and the rest of the jailer beasts, and the two sides fought. Blackbeard Teach and the others overwhelmingly knocked down Hannibal and others, laughing and walking to the lower level. Rain Shiryu destroyed the communication with Marine and the monitoring bug, and then joined the Blackbeard group. Luffy's group, led by Ivan, came to the elevator shaft. Luffy slowed down with the chain and slid down. As soon as it fell to the ground, he ran and shouted. Ace, Ace, where are you? Everyone also fell down and followed up. This is the unknown 6th floor, the breath is terrifying. Zoro's skin can feel the darkness of 6 layers. The real hell. Ace has been taken away. In a cell, Jinbei's voice came. Luffy and the others stopped. You, what did you say? Ace was here with me, and has been escorted away by Marine. Jinbei was chained to the wall and said in a low voice. You are Ace's younger brother. I hear Ace always mention you. Luffy looked at Jinbei with wide eyes. You are the seaman Jinbei. Shichibukai. Robin looked at Jinbei in surprise and said. Shichibukai, why are you locked up here? The old man refused to fight the Whitebeard pirates and was taken into custody by Marine. Jinbei pursed his lips. 1 step late, Luffy said. Everyone, I'm going to Marineford. It's dangerous, you guys. Luffy eagerly wanted to save Ace at this time. At the same time, he didn't want to put his companions in danger anymore, impelled down a Magellan and almost left them at a loss. Marineford is even more powerful than Forest. Stupid, what else are you talking about? Straw Hat Crew said in unison. We are with you, Luffy. Release the old man, I also want to save Ace. Jinbei looked at Luffy seriously. Luffy, hearing what Jinbei said, everyone looked at Luffy. Good, Luffy nodded. At this time, Crocodile on the other side also spoke. Long time no see, Straw Hat Boy. Robin heard this voice and opened his eyes wide. Mr. Zero, Miss Sunday, no, Straw Hat Crew, Robin. Crocodile smiled and continued. There will be a lot of resistance when going out here to get to Marineford. I can help you too. What, Luffy? Everyone was shocked. Crocodile actually wanted to come out. Luffy stared at Sand Crocodile sternly. Indeed, to save Ace, more help is needed. Good. Finally, Luffy nodded. Jinbei and Crocodile were all released. Hey, let me out too. The criminals on the 6th floor just watched quietly at first, until Jinbei and Crocodile were released. Shouted excitedly. No, Luffy, the criminals on the 6th floor are all murderous criminals, or criminals who have caused damage to the world. They cannot be released. At this time, the Ladyboy King spoke out to persuade him. Luffy is not stupid, nodded, and the group ran to the upper floor. Lu Fang was shrouded in the black robe on the pillars of the 6th floor, watching this scene quietly. Crocodile stayed at Marineford. Blackbeard is already on the 5th floor and is about to collide with Luffy and others. Lu Fang touched his chin, and under the strong sense of sight, hearing and color, he clearly knew the whereabouts of Blackbeard and others. Luffy and his group had to go up one level after another because the elevator was damaged by the jailer. As soon as I reached the 5th floor, I ran into the Blackbeard group head-on. Crocodile only reacted now, and said, "Have you not encountered that horrible Rear Admiral?" Jinbei also reacted. Blackbeard and others are strange. What horrible Rear Admiral, are you scaring me, Sand Crocodile? Blackbeard Teach looked at Crocodile and said disdainfully. Zoro remembered Lu Fang who was supposed to be lying on the ground just now. Could it be him? Although I felt that I was releasing water in the match, I didn't feel that it was too strong. Crocodile narrowed his eyes and stopped talking. Blackbeard disagreed, and told about the matter of capturing him Ace and giving it to Marine. Mentioned that the initial goal was Luffy. Unexpectedly, Ace turned out to be Luffy's elder brother. In order to protect Luffy, Ace would rather die than escape, and was finally captured alive. After listening, Luffy gritted his teeth, angering in his heart. Under the persuasion of the Ladyboy King and Jinbei, it is important to save Ace. Can't delay any more time here. Luffy understands that the execution time is getting closer. Blackbeard went to the 6th floor to release the prisoners and recruit the crew. The two people crossed over on the 5th floor and didn't move their hands. Lu Fang was on the beam, watching Blackbeard and his group walk down from the 5th floor, with a smug look on his face. Blocks of cells were opened by Blackbeard and explained the purpose of releasing them. Crescent Hunter, Caitlin Butterfly Beauty, the Giant San Juan, the Evil Wolf, Big Wine Barrel, Red Earl, Bullet, ... All criminals on the 6th floor were released. The 6 story guys were extremely excited. There is even a chance to escape from this underwater prison. Lu Fang looked at the happy prisoners below. Gently landed on the ground. Nuo Jiao's. The system synthetic long knife appeared in his hand. Backquote, "Huh, who are you?" A prisoner happened to see Lu Fang enveloped in black robe. Give a loud shout. In response to him, Lu Fang casually shot a knife. There is no resistance, execution. Blackbeard was about to talk to Bullet and others. A crowd of people were attracted to look over. Black Robe, the Sky God Pirate Group. Teach was taken aback. This costume, only the legendary Celestial Pirates. Very insightful, Blackbeard Teach. Lu Fang said in a hoarse voice. The long knife in his hand is not polite. Some of the prisoners who fled were executed with a single blow. This is the famous Celestial Pirate Group outside. Bullet's eyes were solemn. This breath, a bit familiar. Lu Fang's momentum increased, and his long knife pointed at a group of prisoners on the 6th floor. You guys, stay here, the 6th level of evil people. What did you say? The criminals on the 6th floor surrounded Lu Fang fiercely. Blackbeard Teach was so surprised that someone from the Celestial Pirate Group would appear. Earl Hong and the others were also curiously watching the raging pirates of the Heavenly God. Unexpectedly they would come in single-handedly. At this time, Lu Fang waved his long sword, and a single blade shot cut off the surrounding prisoners. The light of the light red knife carries the corrosive power of the rusty fruit, quickly chopped it away. Not good. Bullet felt that Lu Fang's slash was unstoppable, and when he dodged, he went to the place where he stood on the lonely red side. Blackbeard Teach, Crescent Hunter Caitlin and others also dodged wisely. The criminals were surrounded by 6 layers and couldn't dodge, and they couldn't even make a scream. His body was corroded instantly, scattered like particles. Directly beheaded by Lu Fang. The knife slashed past, and the column of the cell that had been slashed directly collapsed until the sea stone on the wall was able to dissipate. You guys are hiding pretty fast, Lu Fang said in a hoarse voice to everyone. Bullet, Blackbeard Teach and others were shocked. What kind of slash is this? The evil king looked shocked, and the prisoners were killed and disappeared directly. Who are you from the Celestial Pirate Group? A cold sweat broke out on Blackbeard Teach's face. Sure enough, every one of the Celestial Pirates was extremely powerful. The cut just now was not only capable, but also powerfully suppressed by conquerors. Tianjin Pirate Group, God of Destruction. Under the black robe, Lu Fang said hoarsely. A breath of death enveloped everyone. Blackbeard and the gang were upset, and another, God, appeared in the Heavenly Pirates. God of Destruction, how many gods are there in your Heavenly God Pirate Group? Blackbeard Teach tremblingly asked. This is already the 5th god. Lu Fang ignored Blackbeard and walked towards them with a long knife. Go together. The Crescent Hunter Katarina Diame had fierce eyes, and said to the evil king and others. This destruction god exudes an icy killing intent, aiming to kill them all. The Crescent Hunter and Pizarro took the lead. Armament Hockey covered his fist and turned black and rushed up. Fan Oka stood behind Teach at this time, raised his gun and fired at Lu Fang's head. Boom! The gunshots. Catalina and the evil king also attacked in front of them. The avatar Lu Fang nodded secretly, the sniper shot at the perfect timing. With the left hand pointing to the direction of shooting, an invisible barrier appeared. Stopped the sea stone bullet directly in the air. The long sword in his right hand swung coldly towards the evil king and Katrine. Dao Qi draws a blue blade with the power of ultimate ice. Success. The two were horrified, Lu Fang's swing speed was too fast. The two of them were in the middle of the knife, and a blood stain appeared on their bodies. Before the blood came out, the whole body had condensed into a large block of ice. How can it be? Bullet, Blackbeard Teach and others, even Red Earl showed shock. What did they see? This is the activation of 2 devil fruit abilities. Blackbeard Teach is trembling, with his mouth wide open. He has many devil fruit abilities that he can only dream of. How could it be impossible, isn't it, Blackbeard? Under the black robe, Lu Fang avatar gave a faint smile. There are 3 devil fruit abilities, Count Red said in a surprised tone. That knife just now caused the prisoner to dissipate directly, and it was also the ability. Secret Point Road. Blackbeard Teach gritted his teeth, black mist appeared all over his body, and patted his palms on the ground. The black mist continued to spread on the ground, and the surrounding cells were being swallowed and quickly covered the 6 underground floors. Lu Fang's feet were also shrouded in black mist, and a force of involvement was acting on him. Take advantage of it now, Blackbeard shouted to Jez's Badgers, Van Oka and other subordinates. Everyone realized this. Badgers waved his armed fists and jumped directly above Lu Fang's head to attack the black robe. Oka held a gun, looking for a chance to hit. Lafitte and Poison Q took out their weapons from the ground and quickly attacked. Lu Fang looked at Blackbeard, who was constantly struggling to control the engulfing of the black mist. This guy is too confident in the dark fruit ability. The leg was lifted up easily, and it was a kick at Lafitte and Poison Q. The two of them couldn't react at all. They were kicked, flew out and crashed through the cell, then stopped on top of the sea stone wall, and fell to the ground softly. The moment Lafitte kicked off the two of them, Badger's armed fists also reached Lu Fang's head. Lu Fang raised his long knife and cut it. Bugs. Blackbeard Teach's eyes widened in horror. The light of the knife passed, and Badges dissipated directly. The evolved ability to rust and rust fruits instantly corrodes cleanly. Monster. What kind of monster are you? Teach yelled. The devouring power of the dark acupoint Dao had no effect on Lu Fang. Badgers and others lost without resistance. Lu Fang didn't bother to talk to Blackbeard Teach, ignoring the black mist, and when he moved his figure, he came directly in front of Blackbeard, often grabbing Teach's neck with the cold in his left hand. The black fog pervading the ground dissipated. Blackbeard Teach was so scared that he backed away again and again, and the black mist revolved in his hand, trying to block Lu Fang's left hand from grabbing. Dark water. Ignore all fruit abilities. Lu Fang touched the hand of Blackbeard, who was spinning in the dark, and the cold air of snow fruit was swallowed by the spinning mist. Good, Lu Fang said in a hoarse voice. The freezing ability is increased again. Blackbeard felt a strong freezing power. The dark power swallowed can't stand it anymore. At this time, Bullet, who was watching the battle, punched. Don't forget that there are still people here. God of Destruction. The fist is with indomitable momentum, and Conquerors is entangled with the armed color, breaking through the air. Lu Fang was calm, raised the blade with his right hand, and slashed in the direction of Bullet. Ding! There was a sound like steel collision. Hockey collision stirred up strong winds. Bullet flew upside down, crashed into the wall, and his entire hand was cut off and wasted. Still keeping his left hand, he grabbed Blackbeard Teach's right hand. The power of ice exploded, and Blackbeard froze into ice. Captain Van Oka was shocked and screamed in horror. The dark fruit ability did not even withstand the power of ice. Lu Fang disagrees. The snow fruit that has evolved and awakened, even if it is only 50%, cannot be withstood by Blackbeard Teach. Ahem. At this time, Bullet grabbed his shaved right hand, coughing up blood in his mouth, and crawled out of the wall. The combined fruit ability was activated, and the inorganic matter condensed into a right hand. Lu Fang looked at Bullet calmly. Asshole! Bullet roared. The entire 6th floor, and even the 5th floor, there were inorganic substances starting to condense crazily. Combine the fruit ability, crazy launch. Bullet's full-strength fruit ability made Impel down vibrate. The awakened ability to fit fruit. Lu Fang under the black robe turned and looked at Bullet's activation ability with interest. Bullet absorbed inorganic matter and began to cover it with an armor-like shell. Good chance. Yuji Shiryu and Fan Oka saw that Lu Fang looked at Bullet and ignored them. Secretly and ruthlessly, the famous sword was pulled out by Thunderstorm, covered with hockey, and struck it. Fan Oka lifted it directly. The gun was shot at Lu Fang. The big wine barrel rushed over and dragged the frozen black Uzi back. Lu Fang didn't turn his head. A barrier stood behind him. The bullet directly blocked the blade, and the two continued to attack desperately. The invisible barrier doesn't move at all. What is this? Rain Shiryu and Oka completely collapsed fiercely. The black robe destroyer didn't even turn his head, and the attack was completely useless. The huge evil wolf stuck out his big hand from the cell and grabbed Lu Fang. Lu Fang still didn't look back. The barrier fruit ability increased, and the wireless barrier behind him completely blocked the wolf's giant hand. The giant hand hit the barrier and was so strong that the wolf screamed in pain. At this time, Bullet finally condenses the armor. The whole figure is almost on top of the 6th floor. A bit bigger than the wolf. Success. God of Destruction. Bullet's huge armor made a violent sound. The armor is covered with hockey, and the black light shines. A huge fist pressed against Lu Fang like a big mountain, setting off a strong wind pressure. The crowd quickly retreated and dispersed, and Bullet was too huge at this time. The fist fell, the gravel was blown, the cell was directly crushed, and the beam broke. Fortunately, the 6th floor of Impel Down was built to be extremely tall and huge because of the need to imprison the giants of the huge body like the wolf. Lu Fang watched the giant fist falling from the top of his head, and his feet floated slightly. A white ball shrouded the blade of the long knife in his hand. Facing Bullet's giant fist slashed from bottom to top. This is Shock Fruit's ability. The countenance of Red Earl and others changed drastically. Is the Celestial Pirate group really a god? The 4th fruit ability, Whitebeard Shock Fruit ability. How can this be? Lu Fang didn't care about other people's panic expressions. Long knife and giant fist contact. The collision is like space shattering. Click. The cracks in the air spread. The ground and walls around Lu Fang shattered one after another. The giant hand facing directly shattered. A vibrating force was transmitted along the giant hand to the entire giant armor body. Bullet has a hideous face, and the power of the vibration is instantly transmitted to the whole body. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and the entire armor shattered. Cracks broke out in the high walls, and a large stone wall fell, exposing the sea stone wall. The fragments fell to the ground, and Bullet also appeared from the air, falling down weakly. His right hand was chopped, and Lu Fang's ability to shake with a single knife once again caused him internal injuries. Lu Fang's avatar is still indifferent. Looking at the huge Bullet, the shock felt that his hands were not as strong as Kizaru's speed of light kicked. Reign of Shiryu, Big Keg and others were dumbfounded and shocked. Bullet was defeated by a single blow. With the help of the big wine barrel, Blackbeard teaches dark ability swallowed the ice cubes, and finally freed it, shaking and terrified. Unbeatable. Too powerful, the dark ability can't even swallow his freezing ability. Now it has demonstrated the ability of Whitebeard shock fruit. Teach turned his head and glanced at the straight, solemn Red Earl. The legendary character hasn't shot yet. Try to hold him. Blackbeard Teach said to the big wine barrel, Yuji Shiryu and others. Then a black mist formed on his body and condensed into a ball on his head. Rain Shiryu and others sweat on their heads. Drag, how to drag. I can only grit my teeth and bit my scalp. The evil wolf rushed out of the prison door first, and swung his black giant fist towards Lu Fang. Lu Fang turned around, wrapped the blade with a white ball on the long knife, and greeted him with a knife. The wolf's eyes widened and did not flinch. Seeing that Lu Fang did not use other abilities, Fanoka raised the muzzle and fired again. Lu Fang stuck out his left hand, his fingers shot out light. It directly smashed the fired bullet and hit the heart of Oka, causing a violent explosion. The blade with the shock fruit ability was also cut into the big hand of the evil wolf. Cracks scattered. The wolf's armed color was directly dissipated, and the huge arm exploded. The power of the vibration was controlled by Lu Fang in the body of the evil wolf, continuously destroying the body. The huge figure fell backwards, smashing a large area of the ground, blood gushing from his mouth, and Byakugan was motionless. Yuji Shiryu's eyes were splitting, and even the wolf fell to the ground for an instant, and he drew the sword and never dared to move forward. Blackbeard was shocked while holding the black ball still condensing. That light, the fifth devil fruit ability, can also ultimate control shock fruit's ability. This is the legendary awakening. Silently, Red Earl appeared on Lu Fang's side. A kick has come, and the powerful conqueror's haki is entangled with the armed color, which contains incomparable power. Lu Fang's left hand has been raised under Lu Fang's perceiving, and Earl Hong's kick has already hit his left hand. Boom! Haki collided, causing a strong air current, and some rubble was blown away one after another. Don't move. An unbelievable expression appeared on Earl Red's face. How can it be? Lu Fang's left hand has grabbed the leg of Earl Hong. Worthy of being someone who can beat Kong and is as famous as Whitebeard Roger. This kick is stronger than the impact of the speed of light. Are you surprised? Lu Fang said hoarsely. The shock fruit ability in his hand exploded, and a shock erupted from Lu Fang's hand to Red Earl, and the surrounding ground was torn apart, arousing a cloud of dust. Earl Hong was grasped by Lu Fang's leg and couldn't get rid of it. Haki could only use his whole body to contend with shock fruit. He still didn't hold his teeth, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Suffered internal injury. This old guy was about to spit blood. Lu Fang casually threw it, and Earl Hong hit the sea stone on the wall like a cannonball. Lu Fang turned his head. Blackbeard's big dark ball finally condensed. Come and try this. God of Destruction. The dark ball pressed over and swallowed everything around it silently, with a huge gravitational force. This is a moving black hole. When the dark ball was about to cover Lu Fang, Blackbeard, the big wine barrel, and the Rain Shiryu turned around and fled away. The bloodline still remained at the corner of Red Earl's mouth and disappeared in place. Bullet woke up a long time ago, enduring the pain of his whole body and fleeing with Earl Red. They don't expect Blackbeard's big dark ball to be a threat to the black robe god of destruction. When will you wait if you don't run at this time? Wide. Although his vision was blocked by the big dark ball in front of him. But seeing and hearing the color, perceiving the Red Earl, Bullet and the others fled directly. With a long knife in his hand, swallowing everything around him, the big dark ball pressed against Lu Fang was directly divided into two halves, a flame lit up, and the big dark ball burned out. He turned around and disappeared where he was, and soon caught up with the Cask Basque Chote. Beryl Joette glanced at Lu Fang, the black robe that appeared behind him, and knew he couldn't run away. The tongue with his tongue screamed, revealing despair. Blackbeard Teach and Shiryu both looked back, their souls were shocked, and the big dark ball that had been condensed for a long time didn't even last a little bit of time. Beryl Chote stopped, his whole strength gathered, and he rushed towards Lu Fang like a cannonball. Lu Fang's avatar glanced at the figure rushing from the big wine barrel, and the long knife swung away with the powerful corrosion of the rusty fruit. 970. The keg slashed across the barrel, and the body dissipated. Execution. The clone continued to chase forward. At this time, Lu Fang, the main body of Marineford, sensed that the Red Earl, Bullet, Blackbeard Teach and Shiryu of Rain were desperately fleeing. An instruction was delivered to the clone. Forget it, let them escape to Marineford. The clone Lu Fang nodded originally. The stealth fruit was launched, the figure was hidden, and followed. 4 floors. Blackbeard and Shiryu were terrified on their faces and rushed to the ground quickly. How could such a horror exist? Blackbeard's black robe continued to appear in Blackbeard's mind, as if he was behind, his face covered with sweat. The Red Earl and Bullet jumped swiftly in front of them. When a jailer found out, Conqueror's Hockey directly suppressed them and left quickly. Following the low-key hiding behind World Destroyer Berndi, Waldo, but Blackbeard Teach all the way unimpeded. Magellan, Hannibal and others were seriously injured, faint and unconscious, and all the powerful could not stop them. The 5 did not dare to delay any time, for fear that the destroyer of the Sky God pirate group would catch up. The avatar Lu Fang has indeed caught up, looking at them from a distance. Straw Hat Crew and others just robbed the warship outside and drove through the Gate of Justice. Blackbeard Teach and others followed Red Earl and others to snatch the warship. They can't fly, except for the Red Earl and Shiryu, who are capable, and can't get into the sea, so they can only sail on warships. Lu Fang's avatar no longer shot, and was hidden on the mast. The 5 people fled to the warship, and after being far away from Impel down, they panted heavily, thanking them for surviving. Earl Red was seriously injured. He coughed up bloodline and sat on the deck, calming his injuries. The 5 were silent for a long time. How could there be such a strong person? Roger is not so strong. 1 cut, just 1 cut. Bullet pressed his decapitated hands, blood was still leaking from the fracture, his face was extremely pale, and he couldn't help crying out in fear. I heard about the celestial pirates in Impel Down, this time I really learned the horror of the celestial god. Cut off your hand with 1 blow, and crush the strengthened armor with the ability to fit together with 1 blow. A variety of devil fruits are present, and they also overlap with the daddy's abilities. This completely subverts the understanding of the world. Blackbeard trembled, remembering that the god of destruction in black robe killed the wolf and others casually, his freezing ability couldn't swallow the dark fruit, his eyes were full of fear. Vulcan, Thor, Snow God, Shinigami, god of destruction. How many gods are there, and it is said that they are all just crew members. Yuji Shiryu hugged his head with both hands, and said with a trembling tone and throbbing eyes. Blackbeard Teach and others escaped from the dead, their tone revealed their infinite fear of the god of destruction and the pirate group of the gods. Even if I join forces with Kong, I'm afraid I will not be able to defeat the god of destruction, such a strong man, I have never heard of it in the past. Although the Red Earl was not as frightened as the other 4, he was so flustered. But the old face also looked shocked, and then said, if even guys of this level are just crew members, their captain. I'm afraid it's really a god. Earl Hong said this by himself, his expression stunned. Lu Fang's figure emerged in his heart. His observation Hockey is inherently powerful and can even detect people's thoughts, but when he perceives Lu Fang, it is like perceiving the whole world. God-like breath. Bullet, Berndi, the Rain Shiryu slowly raised his head to look at the Red Earl. His eyes revealed throbbing and disbelief. They also remembered that figure with the breath of a god. The 3 of them said the same sentence. God-like breath. Lu Fang Rear Admiral. What exactly do you mean by Rear Admiral? Blackbeard looked at the weird expressions of the 4 people, and the expressions of the rest of his life were also sluggish. Crocodile also mentioned the terrifying Rear Admiral. The prisoners on their 6th floor also mentioned a godlike breath. The breath we perceive in Rear Admiral is stronger than that of the destroyer. Maybe he has something to do with the celestial pirates. Count Red's tone was full of trembling. Intuition becomes clearer and clearer. Too crazy. Blackbeard screamed at Earl Red, shuddering. What do they say about Impel Down's Rear Admiral and the celestial pirates? How can it be a breath more powerful than the god of destruction? In Teach's mind, the black-robed destruction god full of death and oppression reappeared. Lu Fang is invisible on the mast, even if the sight of the Red Earl is extremely powerful, he can't notice it. Looking at the 5 people who were shocked and discussed below. Smiled faintly. Red Earl is worthy of being one of the top powerhouses. According to the breath, he could actually guess the main body. Soon in Marineford, how wonderful it will be for these people to see the main body's expression. In fear, the five let go of their guesses about Lu Fang, which was too shocking. Now the first thing is to run away from Impel down far away and don't let the god of destruction chase him up. After the Gate of Justice, we can only follow the ocean current to Marineford, where execution is going on. Blackbeard told the Red Earl Bullet and others about the upcoming battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the Navy headquarters. Newgate and Marine. Red Earl and others were also taken aback. Here is also a big battle. Then we will go to Marineford, who is about to chaos. If the god of destruction catches up, there will also be many strong people over there, maybe there is a chance to escape. Bullet thought for a while and said solemnly, if they are on the sea, there is no way for them to escape. Everyone nodded. Earl Red didn't refuse. Since he had already come out, he went to have a look. The warship moved quickly to the Gate of Justice. The Gate of Justice, because of the arrangement of Blackbeard the seamen guarding the gate have long been passed by Lafitte hypnosis. As long as there are warships, the Gate of Justice will be opened. The warship passed through the Gate of Justice and sailed into Marine's triangular ocean current. The execution time is less than 3 hours. A huge screen has been set up on the Sabayati archipelago, and news agencies from all over the world have gathered to broadcast the Marineford execution scene again. A large group of people, nobles, merchants and other people of different identities also gathered in front of the screen, watching this execution that determines the future direction. On Marineford Square, Lu Fang under the execution stage observes everything that happened in the clone and Impel down. The system prompts constantly. A group of criminals, evil wolves and others have been executed in clones. Strength continues to improve again. Executing the evil wolves and other major evil criminals also received 3 high-level rewards. System, open all. In Lu Fang's mind, the picture of advanced rewards reappeared. Congratulations to host for gaining physical fitness. Get an armament hockey promotion. Get a promotion from Conqueror's Hockey. Get the skill boxing skill sublimation. Get devil fruit, logia. Frozen fruit, paramesha, soul fruit, zone, fruit for everyone. Open advanced rewards, physical fitness reached 38,000. The number of devil fruits, plus the ones obtained from the execution, has exceeded 10. Hockey took it a step further. 07. Lu Fang felt his body strengthen again. After this feast, come to improve the fruit ability. Mamasigi felt that Lu Fang next to him was different for a moment. Turning his head in doubt, Lu Fang was in a good mood, returned a brilliant smile, and said, "What's wrong?" No. Guillaume looked at Lu Fang's smile at her so brilliantly, turned his face flushed. The Vice Admiral who was next to Lu Fang have all moved forward. At this time, there was only Crane's staff and Mamasigi Guillaume stood with Lu Fang. There are 3 admiral seats in the front. On the sea, 50 warships surrounded the entire Marineford island. The port of Crescent Bay is full of various heavy artillery weapons. Hundreds of thousands of Marines from all over the world have stood in the square. The warship that escorted Huo Fist Ace has also returned, and will soon board the execution platform. This is Marine's strongest formation, Mamasigi Guillaume said nervously. The other party is Whitebeard, and there are fools who secretly want to fish in troubled waters. Crane Vice Admiral said solemnly. Lu Fang nodded secretly, indeed the strongest formation. On the bright side, Marine's combat power has all been revealed, Vice Admiral, Alternate Admiral, 3 Admiral. 7 Warlords of the Sea, Storm Coon Bear, Gecko Moria, Hawkeye Mahawk, Pirate Empress Boa. The Hancock 4 are in the forefront of Marine. But under Lu Fang's incomparable experience, 5 Elders, Kong, the CP organization, and the scientific unit are all hidden in the depths of Marineford. At this time, Fujitora, Green Bull, and T-Dolphin walked over and stood, each with serious eyes. Aokiji Kuzan, Kazaru Pelusalino, Akainu Sakazuki, the 3 also walked over from the fortress and sat down on the admiral seat. From below, Marine cried out excitedly. It's 3 Admiral. Marine fighters are full of confidence, this lineup is extremely powerful. 3 Admiral is here, I'm up there. Lu Fang said to Guillaume beside him. You can't drop the chain. Guion was obviously very impressed with Dressrosa before. No, you will be surprised. Luo Fang smiled meaningfully, then turned and walked back. This will be a feast. Go to the stairs behind the execution platform. Fire Fist Ace calmly walked up from under the fortress, with shackles on his hands and feet, making a sound of steel. Behind him were 2 marine escorts from the execution department. Luo Fang took over the escort from the execution stage and followed Huaquan Ace. Ace lowered his head, yet he has not found that Luo Fang is the rear admiral from Impel down. The two walked to the execution platform step by step. Fire Fist Ace is here. The eyes below were attracted, and they looked at the protagonist of this execution, Ace. Luo Fang and Ace went to the execution stage and pointed to the stage. Luo Fang said, "Sit down, don't kneel." Ace sat down and looked at Luo Fang in surprise. The horror of Impel down Rear Admiral. It's you. Are you surprised? I am the execution officer myself. The father you hate was also executed by me. Luo Fang put his torture knife aside and sat down. The war hasn't started yet, sit down and watch the changes slowly. You are not an ordinary Rear Admiral, who are you? Ace didn't care much about the execution of Roger, but was curious about Luo Fang knowing his life experience, so he couldn't help asking. Me, execution officer. Luo Fang smiled, indeed the execution officer. At this moment, under the execution platform, Marshal Sengoku, wearing a martial uniform and braided beard, walked up with a phone worm. A surprised look at Luo Fang sitting on the execution stage at will, but he didn't care about it, and continued to stand a little bit forward. Ace didn't speak anymore, lowered his head deeply and fell into silence. It's Marshal Sengoku. The Marines were shocked, and the Marshal personally boarded the execution stand. Sengoku took the radio call worm and said seriously, "There is one thing I will tell you in advance, Portgas d'Ace, the significance of the execution here." The reporters of the news agency in front of Sabayati's screen smelled big news, and took up notes. The Marines underneath were also taken aback. Marshal Sengoku, do you want to announce 10? Portgas d'Ace, say your father's name. My dad is Whitebeard. Ace had a foreboding what Marshal Sengoku seemed to say. He gritted his teeth and said hoarsely, "No, Fire Fist Ace, you can't not know." Marshal Sengoku's voice was full of rigor and seriousness, and continued. We were desperately looking for. Marshal Sengoku talked about the investigation into the search for Roger's blood, and also mentioned Portgas de Rouge, who had been pregnant with Ace for 20 months. The Marines below, Shichibukai, and reporters from all over the world broadcasting in front of Sabayati Archipelago held their breath and listened to Marshal Sengoku speaking. Your biological father is the One Piece, Goldor Roger. You inherit the world's most evil lineage. This is the real reason why our Marine is not hesitating to fight with the Whitebeard pirates. Everyone showed expressions of astonishment. The reporters of Sabayati Archipelago were dumbfounded for a few seconds, making crazy calls to deliver news. Fire Fist Ace, the son of One Piece. No, my father is only Whitebeard. Ace yelled sadly. Luo Fang was expressionless, playing with the execution knife, looking at Ace. Marshal Sengoku finished speaking and turned to look at Luo Fang. This guy didn't even have a surprised expression at all. Luo Fang Rear Admiral, the next execution is up to you. Sengoku squinted his eyes and said to Luo Fang inexplicably. Relax, Marshal Sengoku. Luo Fang smiled, holding the execution knife, and stood up. Luo Fang stood up, standing between Marshal Ace and Marshal Sengoku with his execution knife in his hand. A look like he was ordered at any time. Marines from all over the world on the square showed surprised expressions. The blood of the One Piece survived that year and became a member of the Whitebeard pirate group. Below the execution platform, Crane Staff, Momoshiki Gion, Fujitora, Green Bull, Zephyr, Garp stand together. The hero Garp gritted his teeth, and the scene of Roger entrusting his wife and children came to mind. The Crane Staff looked at Garp and sighed deeply. The torment between persevering justice and family affection. At this time, a communication soldier ran under the execution platform. Marshal Sengoku. The justice gate of Impel down opened. 2 unauthorized warships passed by before and after. The correspondent reported loudly, What? How could this happen? What's the matter with contacting the prison? Sengoku was taken aback. At this point, Something happened to Impel Down. There is news from Impel Down. 6 floors of corpses of criminals on the ground, the number is being determined. The communications soldier couldn't help but feel a little unbelievable. Check it out as soon as possible. There are also those 2 warships. Yes, Sengoku gritted his teeth, looking at the misty sea in the distance. At this juncture, Impel Down can only be put aside first. The Whitebeard pirates here, I am afraid it has already come. The Marines waited and were nervous involuntarily. Come on, pirate ship. From the observation deck, the soldiers observed with high-powered binoculars and saw dozens of pirate boats on the sea in the distance. 43 ships. It's a large fleet under the Whitebeard pirate group. The Great Vortex Spider, the Wanderer, the Ice Witch. These are all first-class masters. New World pirates who are famous all over the world. Marines clenched their weapons, and the members of the Whitebeard pirates came. The pirate ship sailed quickly and rushed out of the misty sea, with the pirate flag flying. Don't attack yet. The Moby Dick of the Whitebeard pirates hasn't appeared yet. Vice Admiral of Crescent Harbor commanded loudly. The water in Crescent Harbor was rolling up and down. Marshal Sengoku's eyes were solemn. Could it be? It seems that it will appear from unexpected places. Lu Fang looked at the water and said to himself. Sengoku looked back in surprise, and talked about the future. A huge ship jumped out of the sea in the harbor. Then 3 smaller ships jumped out of the water. It's the Moby Dick. Whitebeard is here. Even the coating dived in from the bottom of the sea. Below the execution platform, Garp and the alternate admiral were amazed. Marshal Sengoku was so dignified that he let Whitebeard break into that close range so easily. The coating on the Moby Dick disappeared. The Marines swallowed their throats and looked at the pirates in the harbor. Lu Fang also watched with interest. This is the first time I have seen Whitebeard. 14 squad captains including the Phoenix of the Whitebeard pirates Marco, Diamond Joes, and Foil Beast are standing on the mobile. The Marine soldiers looked at them, and their hearts were extremely nervous. Whitebeard, coming out. Everyone was quiet, as if they heard the sound of stepping onto the deck step by step. With a black headscarf on his head, Kong Yun, one of the big sharp knives in his hand, is cutting the pillar, with an extremely tall figure, and Whitebeard Edward Newgate, with his upper body only in a coat, stood at the bow of the ship. Whitebeard Newgate looked directly at Ace on the execution stage, and smiled at Sengoku, saying, Sengoku, we haven't seen each other in decades. Whitebeard. Marshal Sengoku didn't expect Whitebeard to appear like this. My dear son, are you okay? Whitebeard Lalalo said with a smile. The Marines in the square swallowed their saliva. This is the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard Newgate. Lu Fang looked at Whitebeard and nodded to himself. The stronger the better, the reward is good enough. Ace, wait a minute, I'll save you right away. Whitebeard cut Kong Yun behind him, bent over and folded his arms across his chest. Ace looked at Whitebeard and the people on the pirate ship with mixed feelings, biting his lip to cry. Sengoku looked solemn, and Whitebeard was about to use his abilities when he came up. Whitebeard hit both sides with his arms, the air cracked and cracked. What is he doing? The air seems to crack. The Marines in the square didn't understand, so they watched Whitebeard move nervously. Don't be careless. Be careful of defense. Marshal Sengoku shouted to the Marines below. The sea seemed to be full of waves, and neither of them did anything, but Marine was on guard carefully. There seemed to be a vibrating sound from the sea. The waves on the sea are getting bigger and bigger, hitting. Before long, the waves on the sea were surging, rolling higher and higher from a distance, formed a tsunami to both sides of Marineford. He formed a sea earthquake, turned into a tsunami and hit it. The huge tsunami is overwhelming. If it hits it, it will definitely impact the entire Marineford. The Shichibukai opened their mouths wide and watched the scene in front of them. The Marines in the square are already terrified. Is this the power of Whitebeard? Marshal Sengoku looked ugly at this scene. Whitebeard actually came up and caused a tsunami. Lu Fang has no waves on the sidelines. I had known that Aokiji would freeze, even if it was not blocked, there would be no threat. As predicted, Admiral Aokiji, guarding in front of the execution stage, jumped into the air. With both hands stretched out, 2 icicles stretched out. Backquote, Ice Age. The huge tsunamis on both sides formed an ice wall under Aokiji's freezing force, and stopped. It's Admiral Aokiji. The crisis is over. The Marines cheered. Frozen kid. Whitebeard still smiled at Luo, took Kongyun and cut it. Aokiji was elementalized in advance, and fell to the sea after being hit. The sea quickly froze, spreading the entire harbor. The ships of the Whitebeard pirate group were all fixed to the surface. Marines saw this opportunity, and the cannons on the harbor were aimed at the Whitebeard pirates. Get on the ice and attack to the square to rescue Ace. The pirates yelled, jumped off the boat one after another, and rushed towards Nuo Jiaohao with the gunfire. Fight against. Vice Admiral commanded by Marine also shouted and gave orders. Marine soldiers rushed up to fight the pirates. Swords are relative. Lu Fang held the execution knife and watched the battle begin in the harbor. Seeing and hearing the color of Marineford, he perceives a group of breath and smiles at the corner of his mouth. It turned out that these people came first. Kizaru in the lower seat watched the close engagement on the battlefield, stood up and said, "If you want to keep the casualties to a minimum, you can only catch the thieves first." The body turned into light and moved to the sky above Whitebeard. Is preparing to use Ba Kai Chong Go Yu. It's not that easy, Kizaru. A figure jumped from the air, holding a steel pole in his hand, and covering it with hoki in the other hand, forming a three-clawed dragon hand, and grabbed it to Kizaru with great power. Kizaru dodged and looked at this figure in surprise. "You are Sabo, General Staff of the Revolutionary Army." Sabo, with yellow hair and a scar on his eye, missed a blow in the air, waved the steel pipe in his hand, and hit Kizaru who was dodging. Kizaru raised his arm in surprise to resist. Boom. I was repelled to the harbor's fort and stopped, looking at Sabo in the air and the ice in the distance. A look of doubt and surprise. Why the Revolutionary Army is here. Behind the Moby Dick, a group of figures shrouded in a military green jacket slowly appeared and walked over the ice. Marshal Sengoku looked at the group of revolutionary soldiers who appeared behind the harbor with a shocked expression on his face. People from the Revolutionary Army will appear here, but there is no news at all. Seeing that blocking Kizaru's posture, Whitebeard needs to get a big boost again. Shichibukai's eyes were solemn, but the Revolutionary Army did not lose to the organization of the Four Emperors. The situation of this war is about to be changed. Sabo, who blocked Kizaru, landed on Whitebeard's bow. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes, looked at Sabo, and said, "Why do you people come? Take the opportunity to attack the world government." Whitebeard is not afraid of the escalation of the war, but he does not want to get hooked with the Revolutionary Army somehow. Fine. The main purpose is to save Ace. I am his brother. Sabo faced Whitebeard and said frankly, "I only know that Ace has a younger brother." Whitebeard stared, and Kong Yun slashed toward the boat. Hockey distributes. No, Ace, Luffy, I, 3 brothers. Sabo waved his hand quickly. Whitebeard was terrifying, but don't get me wrong, he raised his hand to the execution table. Whitebeard looked at the execution platform. On the execution stage, Sengoku turned around and held the phone worm, not knowing who was talking to. Ace next to Lu Fang looked at Sabo who blocked Kizaru with a blank expression. "You 3 brothers, won't you forget one, it's Sabo, not dead." Lu Fang smiled and said when he looked at the Revolutionary Army and his party who appeared. "Sabo. That's Sabo. He's not dead." Sabo. Ace looked at a figure similar to that of a young girl, and didn't care why Lu Fang knew Sabo. Emotions have taken over the mind. Tears burst out in an instant, shouting Sabo's name with all his strength. "Ace, I'm here to save you." Ace yelled desperately, and Sabo couldn't stop tears looking at Ace, who was handcuffed to the execution table, and responded loudly. After the Marine and the pirates were astonished, they reacted and continued to fight each other fiercely. Other members of the Revolutionary Army also went to the harbor battlefield. A group of cadres of the Revolutionary Army, as well as thousands of elites, walked directly by the side of the Whitebeard ship and attacked on the right side of the harbor. At this time, the same group of people in black suits rushed over from naval headquarters quickly and fought with the Revolutionary Army. "It's CP. The world government has already prepared." Sabo looked at the man in black, and CP0 was here. "Boy, don't do anything bad." Whitebeard Lololo smiled. Since he is Ace's brother, he is naturally casual. Cooperate with each other wherever you have the opportunity. Sabo finished speaking and jumped off the ice to support him. After Shichibukai was surprised, he found that the world government had also been prepared, so he couldn't help being surprised that this war broke through. Hawkeye Mohawk didn't care what the war would turn out to be, but stared at Whitebeard with sharp eyes like an eagle. Pull out a big sharp knife, Knight. He lifted it up to Whitebeard and cut it. A green slash cut a big crack along the ice, and slashed to Whitebeard with a powerful aura. This scene attracted the attention of the audience. This is the slash of the world's #1 swordsman. Whitebeard looked calmly. The 3rd Division Captain Diamond Joes jumped off the bow, able to activate the Incarnation Diamond, abruptly blocking the Eagle Eye's slash, and dissipated into the sky. Everyone at Marine was astonished. As expected, the captain of the Whitebeard pirate group, he actually took the slash from the Hawkeye. Diamond Jaws' shot indicates that high-end combat power is about to enter the field. Naval Headquarters, a group of Vice Admiral, 2 Admiral, confronted the 14 captains of the Whitebeard pirate group. The cadres of the Revolutionary Army led the team against CP and steadily gained the upper hand. Zephyr and Garp walked to the execution stand. Garp sat down right next to Ace. Sengoku just wanted to say something. "Shut up, old man, just sit here." Garp muttered. "Don't forget where you stand." Garp. Marshal Sengoku had no choice but to do it. Garp would have done it a long time ago, just let him. Zephyr took a surprised look at Lu Fang, who was extremely calm. Lu Fang seemed too calm, standing there calmly. Zephyr instructor, Garp Vice Admiral. Lu Fang said hello. The 2 Zephyr nodded and couldn't help but glance at each other. Sengoku, what about the Revolutionary Army, do you want to take action? Zephyr said to Sengoku. The purpose of the world conscription is to respond to these changes, but it doesn't seem to be that simple. The celestial pirates and the alien forces have not appeared. We don't care, the Revolutionary Army can break through the harbor before taking action. Sengoku said quickly. Zephyr nodded, looking worried. A Whitebeard pirate group has not dared to slack in the slightest, and will lose if it is not careful. Now there are more revolutionary troops. 5 Elders has arrangements, and we do our best to deal with Whitebeard. Sengoku solemnly said that compared to the rest of the forces, it is just a defense, but Whitebeard may not be able to prevent it. Lu Fang listened. Marine had a lot of arrangements. The emergence of the Revolutionary Army seems to be blocked by the world government. But the Impel down guys are here, and I'm afraid it will make Sengoku and others more headaches. Below, the battle between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine has gone into intense heat. On the sea, the huge demon, Oz, with a straw hat given by Ace, with a big knife in his hand, smashed the warship, blocking the road with a single knife. Crossing the ocean, stepping on the ice, talking about Ace, step by step towards the execution platform. Lu Fang looked at little Oz and couldn't help but sigh. This guy is a bit bigger than San Juan Evil Wolf. The warships were all picked up by Oz and thrown away. The giant marine forces could not even stop them, and the warships smashed a wide mouth directly out of the harbor. After that, he walked a long distance to Oak Square. The shell hit the body without breaking the green skin. Shichibukai Gecko Moria looked at Oz excitedly and praised this body constantly. If he could get this body, he would be able to refine the strongest zombie again. Little Oz approached step by step. The Marines looked horrified, and the shells kept hitting Oz. The pirates are more excited to keep up. Marco, Joes and others, at Whitebeard's signal, blocked the attack of Admiral and Vice Admiral for Oz. On the execution stage, Ace burst into tears, worried about the little Oz who was like a living target. Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp and others watched solemnly. Lu Fang looked at him blankly. Just now, Akainu left. It seems to be to instigate the Great Vortex Spider to assassinate Whitebeard. There is also the other side of Crescent Bay, where the Revolutionary Army and CP are at war. Who will the world government send to suppress the Revolutionary Army cadres and a group of elites? Chapter 71. The Revolutionary Army and the CP men in black fought fiercely at the other end of the harbor. This is the Revolutionary Army, so powerful. The pirates saw that CP was not an opponent of these revolutionary forces at all, and they were retreating steadily. These Revolutionary Army targets are also execution stands. They are in the same group with the pirates. Attack. There is Marine Vice Admiral loudly directed. The Marines on the front line quickly surrounded the past. Sabo covered both hands with hockey, and the dragon claw fists attacked the Marines, and the Marine soldiers at the general level couldn't stand it either, and they were knocked down and flew. The cadres are 1 enemy 10, Marine and CP constantly besieged and harassed. The enemy that dragons and sergeants are waiting for, is it going to appear? Sabo fought, glanced at the execution stage, the alternate admiral and Garp were still standing there. Except for the CP0 masters, there is no high-end combat power to stop them. On the ice, the huge little Oz looked directly at Ace on the execution platform. Step forward, keep getting closer. Standing in the forefront of the harbor, 7 warlords of the sea, the Storm Coon Bear stood up, holding his hands high. A bear paw print appeared in the air, constantly widening and shrinking, and finally the bear paw print was compressed in the palm of the palm and pushed towards Oz. Bear's paw impact. The little bear's paw prints radiated light and slowly flew towards the huge little Oz, and the compression force exploded when it touched the body. Little Oz wailed in the explosion of power, and everything around him was blown away. Everyone looked in horror. Little Oz was blasted with blood, and fell to his knees. I will lose consciousness at first sight. On the execution stage, Ace was distraught. Little Oz would be killed like this. He was already seriously injured by this blow. Marshal Sengoku, Zephyr, and Garp all watched this scene seriously. The power of 7 warlords of the sea can be reflected from this. Lu Fang glanced at the rear of Marineford when the bear's paw broke out. What an unexpected person. Dealing with the Revolutionary Army, it seems that there is a deep collusion with celestial dragons. Under Lu Fang's perception of seeing and hearing, Mariajoy's boat came from behind, with a strange atmosphere and an acquaintance. On the big ship coming from behind, a group of people quickly passed the town behind the fortress and rushed to the Revolutionary Army. Little ones, take advantage of Oz's body to break into the square. Whitebeard yelled, and the pirates from all directions responded loudly and rushed towards Little Oz. Whitebeard was still standing on the bow, not in a hurry, watching the changes on the battlefield. The resourceful general, Sengoku of Buddha, how can it be so simple? Whitebeard Luo finished speaking in a low voice, and took a look at the direction of the Revolutionary Army. Sabo and the cadres fought fiercely against CP and Marine. After playing for a long time, I didn't break out of CP's encirclement. The Revolutionary Army retains a certain amount of strength, but the CP has made all-out efforts to suppress it. The pirates mainly went in the direction of Little Oz, but Marine blocked him when the pirates tried to help. The Revolutionary Army shouldn't be at this level. What do they want to do? Marshal Sengoku paid close attention to Whitebeard, and did not forget another Revolutionary Army on the battlefield that could subvert the outcome. The Revolutionary Army is an army that emerged from the defeat of the Celestial Dragons. How could a group of cadres and elites be easily surrounded by the circle? Mrs. Crane, are you ready to implement the plan? Sengoku took out the phone worm and spoke in a low voice with the Crane staff below. The timing is fine. Crane Vice Admiral looked up at Sengoku and nodded. Gion also raised his head and looked at Lu Fang, who was standing by the execution table, holding the execution knife in his hand, and the Rear Admiral coat was floating in the wind, and his short black hair looked at the Revolutionary Army without expression. A group of people in gray clothes, led by people wearing pink feather coats, appeared in front of Sabo and others. The Joker of the underground organization, the heavenly Yaksha of the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo. Sabo looked at Doflamingo solemnly and said seriously, "No, more than that, I am also 7 warlords of the sea now." Doflamingo laughed wildly, and a group of people in gray clothes showed their true colors behind him, dozens of people with animal bodies. The shapes are different. Some people have 4 legs under the chest of a horse, some have a human body in the mouth of a big hippopotamus, and some have 6 legs. These people have grown out of animal bodies. These are artificial demon fruit power. Joker, some people in the world government will cooperate with you. Sabo looked at the grisly corps in front of him and said, the Revolutionary Army, pirates and Marines all looked at these people, with horrified expressions. Lu Fang was taken aback when he watched the execution table above. It was supposed to be Kaido's army of capable people who had become Doflamingos, and the artificial demon fruit power had a weird breath. The artificial fruit can still awaken. Perceiving the breath, Lu Fang touched his chin, thinking that these monsters would be executed without death in a while. Doflamingo laughed in front of the Revolutionary Army. You still underestimate me, Sabo, the Revolutionary Army. I have been chasing after me for a few years. Now I am in front of you, and I am also ordered by the above to take care of you here at Marineford. Doflamingo stared at Sabo and smiled triumphantly. His fingers began to move. He looked at Whitebeard, thinking that Big Mom is coming soon. The more chaotic the battlefield, the better. Dragon Claw Fist. Sabo swiped around his body, the transparent thread under the Doflamingo cloth broke, and his body rushed towards Doflamingo. The Cadres also turned around and fought with those artificial demon fruit power. Go all out. It's terrible. Kizaru and Aokiji were playing against the Whitebeard pirate team leaders, and looked at the Revolutionary Army on the other side. Kizaru, you are distracted. Ma Peta kicked Kizaru with Lan Yan's kick. Diamond Joe's also hit Aokiji, and the two admiral flew upside down and hit the wall of the harbor, and then stood up without incident. At this time, something amazing happened. The vortex spider Skiato stabbed Whitebeard and passed by. Father! The members of the Whitebeard pirates were shocked. Instead, Whitebeard hugged Skiato, saying that even the stupid son is my son. After enduring his injuries, he stood up, looked at Sengoku, and then at Akainu, who returned to the third admiral position. Marine's plan is also launched at this time. Raise the surrounding wall. Prepare to be executed in advance, Ace. The Marines quickly wanted to step back. The Revolutionary Army fought fiercely with the man-made devil fruit ability. Joker received instructions to withdraw the Marine plan. However, Doflamingo stood and laughed. Because the harbor is not far from the ice, the Queen's chant is here. What? That is 4 Emperors Big MOM. Big MOM is here, why hasn't any news of New World come over? The Marines were terrified and backed away quickly. The Whitebeard pirate group also looked solemnly. Lu Fang looked at with bright eyes. You are here too, Big MOM. The Marines were shocked. Big MOM. Marshal Sengoku gritted his teeth tightly. Zephyr, Garp, and the crane staff below all looked ugly. A Whitebeard pirate group is not very sure about it. When the BIGMOM pirates came, although I don't know what the purpose is, Marine is definitely one of the goals. Whitebeard's eyes revealed hockey, and he looked at the fat ant on and off the Queen's chanting horn. BIGMOM brought Katakuri, a group of pirates, and hundreds of man-made demon fruit power with human bodies and animals, and walked with a smile. Whitebeard, how can the Grand War be without me participating in it? BIGMOM laughed. Linlin. Whitebeard looked at her ugly. BIGMOM is afraid of being uneasy and kind. On the execution stage, the phone bug in Sengoku's hand made a panicked voice. Marshal of the Three Kingdoms in the 1977 wars, all motivation is lost, surrounded by walls, and can't rise up. What? Sengoku was shocked. The surrounding wall cannot rise, the square will be completely open to the pirates. The gloomy Sengoku looked at the battlefield, and the phone worm brought it to his mouth. Everyone, fight! Fujitora, Green Bull, Momoshiki, T-Dolphin jumped down. Akainu stood up from her position, her face gradually becoming elemental, and a red light appeared. Kizaru and Aokiji put away their expressions, and wanted to slowly lure the pirates into the surrounding wall. This would not be able to continue. The Vice Admiral led the Marines in the square to reorganize the formation. Whether it is BIGMOM, one of the 4 Emperors, or Whitebeard, we are Marineford here. It is the center of the world. Marines, fight! Marshal Sengoku roared out with awe-inspiring justice. The Marines roared in response with red eyes. Fight to the end. Whitebeard gave an incredible smile. Turned his head to look at BIGMOM. If you dare to destroy the Whitebeard pirates to save people, I will kill you. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, said with extreme seriousness and murderous words. After speaking, he jumped off the Moby Dick. BIGMOM said nothing, shaking in his heart. Newgate muttered a little, then waved his hand. The BIGMOM pirate group is also ready to take action on Marine. Doflamingo and Sabo fought fiercely. String Fruit's ability clashes with Dragon Claw, and hockey is scattered with every hit. Doflamingo laughed when he saw that the surrounding wall had not risen. Marineford's power equipment was secretly destroyed after Doflamingo landed ashore. Did you do anything bad again, Joker? Seeing Doflamingo's undisguised smile. Sabo opened his hand and said, "It doesn't have to be a bad thing, Sabo." With a wave of Doflamingo's hand, 5 color strings grabbed Sabo's face. Sabo's eyes condensed, and the steel rod in his hand blocked it, turning around and lunging at the dragon claw. Not far away, the ability of the human body and the animal body is even more powerful. The strength of the cadres was uneven, and when they faced off, they fell into a disadvantage. The elites clash with the CP forces. The battlefield has entered a fierce battle. Admiral even stared at Whitebeard and Bigmom walking towards the square. Just at this time, there was a panic shout from the sky. A warship fell from the sky. Luffy's gang, Shemale King, Jinbei, and Crocodile turned into a sandstorm. Lu Fang looked up at them. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The one who should come is about to come. On the side of Ace, Garp also saw Luffy with a straw hat on his neck. Luffy, shocked, this kid actually broke through on this battlefield. Strange combination, Revolutionary Army, prison criminals, Straw Hat Crew, and Crocodile. After Sengoku finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at Garp. It's the grandson of this fool again. Garp was holding his head and shouting. A crowd fell on the ice near Whitebeard. A group of people stood up again, and Luffy saw Ace on the execution stage and called me to rescue you. Sabo was also happy to see Luffy, and worried about this level of battlefield. Luffy rushed over. Whitebeard, Big Mom. Revolutionary Army. After the crowd fell down, they were taken aback. What's happening here? So many big guys. Sabo. The Ladyboy King Ivankov saw the Revolutionary Army. Ivan, protect Luffy, Sabo yelled from a distance. The Ladyboy King just wanted to go and help, so he stopped quickly. Straw Hat Crew, ready to break into the battlefield. Sand Crocodile saw Whitebeard and turned into a sandstorm to attack Whitebeard. Whitebeard just wanted to make a move but smiled. On the execution stage, Lu Fang also saw a figure coming from a distance 0. I muttered in my heart, "Crocodile, don't hack me to death, this is a high reward." The dust storm swept across Whitebeard's neck like a knife. Odin's second swordsmanship, guns. Ghosts. Wearing an orange kimono and tall, Odin appeared behind Whitebeard with a pair of phoenix eyes, and the 2 swords instantly cut Crocodile. Crocodile was chopped on his shoulder and fell under the mast. Odin, Marco and others who were about to look back were pleasantly surprised. Odin, Whitebeard Lololo smiled. By G, the Whitebeard pirates didn't call me to save people, but I am your brother, you are injured. Odin turned his head and talked, and saw the incision in Whitebeard's abdomen. It's okay, since it's here, let's go together. Whitebeard Kong Yun waved and laughed. Odin looked at Whitebeard and nodded seriously. Bigmom stared at Odin seriously not far away. In addition to the thunder god of the celestial pirates, this Odin was also able to chop Kaido. Don't underestimate it. The situation on the battlefield is getting worse and worse. Kazuki Odin also appeared. The faces of Marshal Sengoku were already extremely ugly. If the celestial pirates reappear, it will be the worst for Marine. Sengoku took out the phone worm again and said, "We veterans will also take action. The execution is ready to begin." There was a hum from the phone worm. Somewhere in the Marine fortress. 5 elders and Kong are looking at the square. After receiving Sengoku's call worm, Kong turned around and walked out. On the battlefield, the pirates and Marine fire up, and swords are added together. In front of Marco and the captain came a blind uncle in a purple robe, alternate admiral, Fujitora for life. On the battlefield, how can you not concentrate? Please accept the meeting ceremony. Fujitora drew a knife in her hand. The purple halo flashed. Marco and the crowd are unknown, so they are just wondering this Marine. A huge meteorite in the sky rubbed the air with flames falling towards them. What is this? The crowd under the meteorite was shocked. Click. Whitebeard punched the meteorite in the air. The air was torn apart. The meteorite burst into small fragments instantly. Odin smiled and jumped out, and a green slash flew over. Shichibukai, Hawkeye has done it. The world's #1 swordsman. Odin's double knife blocked Hawkeye's slash. With a look of excitement, Wano Kuni's life was suffocated. It's great that the prestigious Hawkeye finds him as his opponent. Not far away, Fujitora's meteorite was smashed by Whitebeard, with a calm face. Diamond Joe's nodded to Marco, his body changed into a diamond, and he fisted at Fujitora. The remaining captains crossed Fujitora and rushed forward with Straw Hat crew. Diamond Joe's, you picked the wrong opponent. Fujitora smiled slightly. Watching other people move on. Kizaru jumped into the air with a bright light. Bakichang Guyu. Countless rays of light shot at Marco and them. Marco turned into a blue firework phoenix, blocking Kizaru's attack. The remaining captains and Straw Hat crew broke into Marine's formation. Luffy, just go ahead and save Ace. Sanji, Zoro and others blocked the surrounding Marine and said to Luffy. Luffy nodded and ran quickly. Bigmom led Katakuri and hundreds of artificial abilities towards the square. Big Mom, one of the 4 emperors, also came to participate. What is your purpose? Aokiji braved the cold and fell in front of Bigmom and others. Behind him, Green Bull, Momoshiki, T-Dolphin and a team of general-level Marines. Aokiji Kid, of course I'm here to attack you Marine. Bigmom's terrifying laugh was accompanied by a burst of Conqueror's haki. Behind him, Katakuri and the legion of ability people looked at Aokiji and others without fear. Yeah, it's worthy of being 4 emperors, it's terrifying. Aokiji condensed the ice spear and attacked Bigmom. Alternate Admiral and Marine followed along and rushed up. At Oak Square, the Whitebeard pirates collided fiercely with Marine. Little Oz woke up and struggled to stand up. The devil is awake. Marine in the square screamed. Oz, idiot son. Whitebeard looked at Oz, who was still struggling with a bloodied head. Although he was injured, he continued to move forward. Seeing Whitebeard's figure, the Marines stepped back with sweat on their faces. Whitebeard is here. It's a remnant party from the old age, don't be afraid. Akainu Sakazuki appeared behind Marine and walked slowly in front of Whitebeard. Lava Kid, can you stop me? Whitebeard raised his arm, his muscles moved, and he punched Sakazuki in the air. The shock fruit ability is activated. The white halo with vibration brought a burst of fragmentation along the ground. Go to Sakazuki. Sakazuki's eyes shrank and quickly dodged away, but the Marines in front of him were knocked into the air. It's hiding fast, Whitebeard said in his mouth. Kong Yunchi waved, with a shocking halo, he slashed again. Great eruption. Sakazuki's right hand is elementalized, forming a huge lava fist, and cutting it against Whitebeard's cloud. Bang! The strong energy disperses. The surrounding Marine and pirates were all lifted off by the aftermath. Akainu gritted his teeth to resist. Whitebeard smiled. At this moment, Whitebeard's brow furrowed, and his heart was cramping. Good chance. Sakazuki's eyes lit up, he quickly got close, and punched Whitebeard's chest. The lava fist burned a scar on his body. Whitebeard was hurt. Haki stubbornly withstood the attack, his eyes widened, and a fist hit Sakazuki on the head. Click. The air is shattered. Sakazuki bleeds from 7 orifices, he flew out and hit the harbor wall on the right, smashing a big hole. Whitebeard coughed. His tall body was half kneeling on the ground due to the attack and physical illness, black smoke was still venting on his chest. Father. Marco was worried about Whitebeard's body and was always paying attention. Seeing that Whitebeard was injured again, he couldn't help but yell. Joes, who was at war with Fujitora, couldn't help but look back at Whitebeard when he heard the shout. You lose. Although Fujitora is invisible, he can still clearly know Jaws' movements under the perception of seeing, hearing and color, revealing flaws. With a long knife in his hand, he slashed on Jaws' body with purple light. 3 circles of purple light wrapped around Joes. The huge gravity directly acted on the unsuspecting Joes. Boom! Joes lay directly on the ice. In less than 2 seconds, a big hole broke in the ice, and Joes fell down. Below, it is sea water. Go and save Captain Joes. 1 pirate was shocked, and 2 pirates who were not capable quickly jumped down. The Green Bull guy can't do it over there. Fujitora murmured, and headed quickly to Bigmom. The pirates could not stop him all the way. Aokiji and Green Bull teamed up to fight Bigmom, freezing, crashing, and hitting Bigmom with no effect. Come, fight as much as you like. Bigmom grinned, his left hand used the sun, Prometheus, and the right hand used thundercloud Zeus. Every blow is extremely violent. The 2 Aokiji who fought hard persisted. Momoshiki Gion and the T-Dolphin teamed up to fight Katakuri and also had the upper hand. The capable army is completely one-sided, and the Marines simply can't hold these monsters to attack. At this moment, Fujitora rushed over. The ability was activated, and a larger meteorite was pressed towards the capable legion. Weo! Bigmom's hat turned into Napoleon with a broadsword, and the meteorite was smashed into pieces with a single knife. On the execution stage, Marshal Sengoku and Garp were no longer on the stage, only Lu Fang, Zephyr and Ace were the three. Lu Fang calmly looked at the battle between all parties in front of him. It's really wonderful. Admiral-class combat power. Imperial Vice-level combat power. There are also 2 4 Emperors, Bigmom and Whitebeard. Marine barely supported, Sengoku and Garp are also going to take action. Instead, because of Marine's scattered combat power, Luffy rushed to the square, Jinbei, the Shemale King and others followed to open the way. Father! Ace saw his companions fighting to save him. Whitebeard was injured again after an illness attacked, and he couldn't help but burst into tears and screamed hoarsely. Whitebeard is old and frail, and sick, and doesn't plan to go back alive. Lu Fang took the initiative to say to Ace, "No, Dad is the strongest man in the world." Ace shook his head in pain. Zephyr looked at Lu Fang in surprise, and his heart was abrupt. Today's Lu Fang is exceptionally plain. How could it be so peaceful under this kind of war? Is there any confidence? Lu Fang turned his head and looked to the left at this time, not minding Zephyr's gaze. Red Earl, Bullet and others have arrived at Marineford. On the ice in the distance, red-hair pirates appeared. The war between several parties has not been noticed yet. There is also Pluton Rayleigh, which has long been hidden in Marineford. It's really lively. Lu Fang smiled lightly. It's so lively, then it will be more lively for a while. After Bigmom took Napoleon's broadsword in his hand, it exploded with great power, and the broadsword slashed out with a powerful blade and flew towards Aokiji. At this moment, he turned his head and saw Whitebeard's wounded appearance, his eyes narrowed, and his grinning expression became more terrifying. Whitebeard slowed down, his eyes widened, and he continued to walk forward, slashing across the clouds in his hand, and the surrounding marine was knocking out a large swath. Whitebeard, we veterans, come and be your opponent. Garp and Sengoku appeared in front of Whitebeard. Sengoku, Garp, Lorello, you Marines have the old guy's turn to play. Whitebeard smiled arrogantly. Marshal Sengoku nodded to Garp and walked towards Bigmom. It turns out that you two are not going together. Whitebeard felt looked down upon. No, Whitebeard, the old man will single with you. Garp Vice Admiral stroked his fist. Lololo, Garp, you can take this trick first. Whitebeard stretched out his hands and caught it in the air. Grab the S shape downward as the body swings. What? The Marines are cheering in surprise. The hero Garp and Marshal Sengoku have taken action together. Suddenly the entire island was shaking, becoming stronger and stronger, until the mountain shook and the sea and the island were tilted. The ground split due to vibration and the house collapsed. Whitebeard, the ground is tilted. The strong guys on the scene stopped their hands. Seeing all around was shocked. Marines' formation was completely disrupted. The pirates were also hard to escape, lying on the ground and using weapons to fix them. On the execution platform, Zephyr grabbed the edge of the platform, and Ace was okay because he was handcuffed to the execution platform. Lu Fang stood sideways with his eyes squinted, looking at Whitebeard who ran out of power. Luo laughed. An earthquake disrupted Marine's deployment, and a road to the execution platform appeared. After the earthquake was over, the Marines got up with horror on their faces. The ground was shattered, and the rear fortresses were all shattered. The pirates also stood up, and when they saw Marines' formation being disrupted, they screamed and rushed up. Not good. Go back to the punishment and execution stand. Marshal Sengoku looked at the square, and the pirates rushed up quickly. Luffy rushed in front and yelled Ace. Getting closer, a huge figure stood in front of Luffy. It's Shichibukai Violent Coon Bear. Bear, it's you. Shemale King Ivankov is overjoyed, the bear is his own. Storm Kun Shang's face was expressionless, his mouth widened, and a laser beam was shot at the location of Luffy and the Shemale King. Luffy dodges in a hurry. What's going on? It's me, Bear. The Ladyboy King looked dumbfounded, and the bear was not right. At this time, in the fortress, 6 identical Violent Coon Bears walked out, behind which Kong held his arms and walked to the execution stand. Sit down in the position of 3 Admiral. Marshal of the Army. Legendary character, Kong. Cheers Marine. More emboldened. The pirates were shocked. Marine even invited this strong man out. Kong is here. The corner of Doflamingo's mouth was shot bloodline by Sabo, and Sabo also had several cuts of blood on his body. As expected of the Joker of the underground world, he actually awakened the fruit ability. Sabo's eyes were serious. The cadres of the Revolutionary Army and those with artificial abilities, CP, are in a stalemate. The situation is getting worse. Bigmom faced off against Aokiji. Aokiji obviously lost and persisted. Sengoku transforms into the form of a big Buddha, majestic, with golden light. Both parties watched, and for the first time saw Marshal Marine use his abilities. The Sengoku Buddha is about to rescue Aokiji. Marshal Sengoku, don't worry, I have to repay the Impel down for locking me down. A giant armored giant covered with armament hockey in black jumped from the sky in front of Sengoku, fell on the ground and smashed into a big hole. You are the 6th floor Dugans. Bullet. The golden figure Sengoku was taken aback, turned his head and saw that there was a warship on the right coast of the battlefield. 4 more people came over. How is it possible? You all ran out. Sengoku was shocked. Red Earl, World Destroyer Burndi, Shiryu of the Long Reign, and Blackbeard teach. 3 legendary characters, a powerful Impel down guard, and a Shichibukai. This sinful combination, what are you doing here? Did Sengoku send him to jail back then? Burndi said helplessly. This is so eye-catching. Not long after Kong sat down, he stood up in shock. Earl Red, Whitebeard and Garp also stopped their hands and looked at Earl Red solemnly. This guy actually walked out of Impel down. At the same time, red hair pirates appeared in front of Bigmom and others, separating the pirate and marine. Redhead Shanks. Everyone dignifiedly stopped their hands. Red hair. 4 emperors of New World. It's all here. The audience was shocked. This should be the craziest time for Marine to fight the pirates. Marine muttered to himself feebly. 4 emperors, Whitebeard, Bigmom, Redhead Shanks. A group of Revolutionary Army. The 6 most powerful criminals in Impel down. Backquote, what about the 4 emperors? Marine is never afraid of pirates. Marshal Sengoku yelled. A punch brought a shockwave to Bullet's huge form fist, setting off a gust of wind impact. Redhead Shanks, you saved Marine. Bigmom yelled with ferocious eyes. The Napoleon's broadsword that struck Aokiji just now was blocked by the red hair. I'm here to stop this war, take your man-made abilities and go. Bigmom. Hockey's red-haired eyes escaped. The purpose of Bigmom is definitely not simple. It is said that there are more than 500 core of capable people, there are only 100 here. Bigmom, you want to kill both sides in the end. Ben Beckman was smoking his cigarette and looked at Bigmom solemnly. Shanks, it looks like you are going to fight me. Bigmom was not polite, and Nuo Jiao Jiao started directly. Shanks' hockey broke out and raised his knife to go up. A blocking battle between Marine and Bigmom pirate groups turned into a battle between 2 4 Emperors class pirate groups. Kong sat under the execution stage, looking at Earl Red with his expression on the face of an enemy, his eyes revealing the fireworks rushing up to fight. I just passed by, empty. Red Earl looked towards Kong, and didn't want to fight. You are outside, it's too dangerous. Kong clenched his fists and stared at Earl Red. Marine's victory or defeat, this person has the ability to change the suit in one hand. Cannot be released out of sight. At the scene of the execution broadcast, there was already shocked silence. The 4 emperors were all present except Kaido, who was killed by the celestial pirates. Naval Headquarters 3 Admiral, 2 Marshals, and a number of Admiral candidates. Revolutionary Army, World Government CP troops. All participated in the war. What will happen to the world after this war? Lu Fang watched the rapid changes on the battlefield. Standing on the edge, whispered to himself. People are almost here. Whitebeard collides and fights Garp. The 2 old guys were tentative, without real fire. It's not even as loud as the battle between Sengoku and Bullet. Every blow of the 2 caused the floor of the square to burst, and rubble flew across. Marshal Sengoku incarnates in the form of a giant Buddha and fought fiercely with Bullet, and the black-covered armor Bullet fell under the wind. Although Sengoku is the resourceful general, it is also at the top of Marine's combat power. Under the shock wave of Golden Buddha, it is only a matter of time before Bullet loses. The red-haired Shanks and Bigmom are facing each other on the ice, Hockey is shrouded, and the purple-red Conqueror's overlord keeps spreading out. The slightly weaker pirate and marine can't get close to that area. Once they walk in, they will fly out faintly. The red hair pirates' cadres firmly suppress the man-made abilities. Under the strong combat power of Ben Beckman, Katakuri barely supported it with the awakened Devil Fruit ability. Odin and Mihawk face off against Hawkeye. Heidaoyi fights Yanmo and Tianyuyu with 3 big knives. Akainu Sasuke braved the flames of lava and punched Odin, breaking the duel between the 2 swordsmen. Hawkeye Mihawk closed the knife and left unhappily. Become Admiral Akainu fighting Odin. On the ice surface under the harbor fort, Kizaru stopped Marco and others. Kizaru was obviously more serious, bursting out with full strength, and overpowering the 3 captains including Marco. Aokiji and Fujitora, while Green Bull retreated and stared at the newly arrived Red Earl and others. This force can't be let alone. To rescue the ace team, Luffy and Jinbei, the Ladyboy King slowly broke into the middle of the square. Shichibukai Gecko Moria, the Storm Coon Bear were all brought down on the edge of the square. The execution stand is getting closer. Luffy panted and looked up at the execution table. Luo Fang looked at Luffy flatly on the edge. Ace gritted his teeth and looked at Luffy, who was desperately trying to break through. This operation to rescue you has become a battlefield where all forces break out. It is Luffy's goal to simply save you. Luo Fang smiled. Luffy really is a simple-minded person. This stupid brother has been like this since he was a child. Ace choked. His tears kept coming down. Zephyr looked at the rapid changes on the battlefield and sighed. Marine obviously played against the Whitebeard pirates, the Impel down guys, and the prevention of Bigmom and Red Hair at the same time. Rolling up his sleeves, he went to the battlefield below, and said to Luo Fang, "The execution on stage is up to you." Zephyr instructor, rest assured. Luo Fang nodded and smiled brightly. Only Luo Fang and Ace are on the stage, and Kong is sitting below the stage. In front of the huge screen broadcast by Sabayati. Ordinary people or pirates were already shocked and speechless. Even if reporters write reports on their hands, it is difficult for them to write, and their hands are trembling. The strongest man in the world, Whitebeard vs. Marine hero Garp. New World 4 Emperors, Red Hair Pirates and Bigmom Pirates duel. The Revolutionary Army confronts the troops of the world government. Marshal Sengoku used his ability to fight a black giant, like a rock and a crack. Army Commander-in-Chief Kong personally sits. "No way, that's..." The reporters were writing, and suddenly, tremblingly pointing to the big screen, they yelled. That is, 5 elders, the highest authority. In front of the screen of the Sabayati Islands, some people were so scared that they sat directly on the ground. Shocked. Isn't this a public execution of Firefist Ace, the captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division? Why are there the top big men in the world? Even 5 elders, the leader of the world government, came to the scene in person. Under the execution stage, in the admiral position where Kong was sitting, 5 old men walked over. The 5 who represent the highest rights of the world government walked out in person. Behind Marineford, hundreds of thousands of soldiers in armor surrounded the entire Marineford square in an orderly manner. Following these soldiers disembarking from the ship is a human weapon researched by the Ministry of Science, a pacifist with a violent coon bear appearance. There are 30 people, surrounded in the direction of the Revolutionary Army. Why are 5 elders here? The Blackbeard teach next to the Red Earl was so frightened and sweaty that he had just escaped from the Celestial Pirates, and now he will be surrounded by the world government and Marine. Red Earl and the others are all dignified, with a vague retreat. It seems that you can't join in here. Burndy. Waldo looked at the large number of world government guards, pacifists, and even more frightening were the 6 people at the execution stage. It was sloppy to come to Marineford. I should find a way to escape and create a huge artillery fire to destroy Marineford and Mariajoy. Marine was also very surprised. 5 elders will appear here. The pressure on the forces of the 4 emperors has also been reduced, roaring and continuing to fight. Bigmom and the redhead Shanks were also taken aback. Although surrounded by Marine and world government, it can't stop. In Marine, there are only 3 Admiral, Sengoku Marshal, Garp Zephyr, Crane Staff and others know that 5 elders are present in advance. Lalalo. Garp, you are already ready to face all forces. Whitebeard held Kong Yunchi up, sweating on his face, still invincible. Whitebeard, even if we face you, we have to be fully prepared, but we didn't expect these people to come. The hero Garp said bluntly, his eyes were already very solemn. You are guarding against the celestial pirates, even the 5 old guys have walked out of Mariajoy. After Whitebeard Newgate finished speaking, Lalalo smiled. After speaking, he looked at Garp and was taken aback. Garp gritted his teeth and lowered his head, his fists in both hands trembled, and said in a low voice. I'm blocking you from moving forward now, the old man has tried my best. Ace. Garp tilted his head slightly and looked at Ace on the execution stage, and Luffy who was desperately trying to save Ace. His eyes were filled with helplessness and pain. Whitebeard was silent. Ace was able to grow up smoothly under the protection of Garp. The two stopped doing their hands and stood opposite each other. Standing under the execution stage, 5 elders looked at the numerous pirates and the revolutionary army with indifferent eyes. One of them ordered the phone worm. Clean up the revolutionary army first. At this time, the sky, which was scattered due to the battle, was covered with dark clouds, accompanied by lightning and violent winds. A group of men in military green robes, led by Monkey D. Dragon, appeared in the sky and fell. Leader of the revolutionary army, Dragon. 5 elders finally looked more solemn. Just when everyone was attracted by Monkey D. Dragon, Luffy stretched his rubber arms on the execution table, leapt up, and stood beside Lu Fang. Ha ha ha, Ace. Everyone was shocked that the leader of the revolutionary army, Long, who dared to openly confront the world government, appeared here. Both Marine and the pirate swallowed nervously. Panic in my heart. All the top forces in the world have gathered here. In this war, which side wins will directly change the future of the world. During the broadcast on the archipelago of Sabayati, the people were already shocked, and everyone's heart was full of shock. The reporters had forgotten how to write the report, and they were dumbfounded. At this time, the huge screen showed Luffy in the straw hat on the execution stand. Ha ha ha, Ace! Luffy exclaimed excitedly. In his eyes, there were no other people. Stupid, you stupid. Ace is also very happy. It's nice to have a brother like this. Lu Fang didn't mind if they said a few more words. Sengoku and others are yelling bad. And Whitebeard's side all smiled. Ace, I will save you now. Luffy said he was going to the back of Ace and wanted to remove the seastone handcuffs. Only then did Lu Fang speak and stretched out his hand to block Luffy, and smiled faintly. You can't come and save it now. Only then did Ace woke up, his eyes panicking. Lu Fang is a terrifying character. Although he does not know his true identity, he is definitely not something that Luffy can fight against. After Lu Fang finished speaking, it was not as good as Luffy's reaction. A finger snapped in Luffy's forehead. Luffy flew out all over. What? Luffy? The Shemale King and Jinbei were shocked and ran to catch Luffy. Marshal Sengoku, Zephyr and others all looked at Lu Fang with their eyes narrowed. The strength of Lu Fang Rear Admiral, a snap of the finger can make the straw hat Luffy fly directly. The eyes of the crowd also turned to Luffy's side. Earl Red, Bullet and others noticed the executioner standing silently on the execution stage. It's the terrifying Rear Admiral of Impel Down. Red Earl and the others backed away in fright, their expressions were terrified. This guy was actually on the execution stage, and a group of people couldn't notice it whether it was perceiving or seeing or hearing. Kong saw the look of Red Earl, with a confused look on his face. The lonely Red Earl would show fear. And the guys on the 6th floor of Impel Down, also looking at the execution platform with horror. Kong looked up. Is it Lu Fang? Kong remembered the suspicions of Sengoku, Zephyr, Kizaru and others. At this time, the eyes of everyone watching from below opened wide. A person is quickly rushing to the execution platform from the side. Pluton Rayleigh brought by the Storm Coon Bear. Hidden in a certain corner, taking advantage of the weakest guards on the execution stage at this time, quickly plundered the execution stage. That is the legendary Pluton Rayleigh. Everyone in the audience looked surprised. The deputy captain of One Piece came here unexpectedly, and made a move. No, the execution platform can't stand it anymore. Marshal Sengoku punched the bullet who was looking at the execution stand in terror, but he couldn't make it back there. Only Kong and 5 elders are under the execution stage. With Pluton Rayleigh's strength, just cutting off the chain and retreating is completely okay. Rayleigh's eyes flickered under his glasses, holding a long sword, and about to stand on the execution table. Young man, I only save people, don't want to hurt you, don't stop me. Rayleigh stepped on the scaffolding platform and said, the long sword hockey in his hand entangled, and the chain was about to be cut when he lifted it up. Kong below gritted his teeth and was about to jump up. Pluton Rayleigh, wouldn't it be too shame to let you save people from me? Lu Fang said with a smile. A punch covers 2 types of hockey, and he strikes at Rayleigh. Rayleigh's eyes throbbed, and there are very few who can use Conqueror's attack like this, even in the ocean. Who is this execution officer? The long knife in his hand turned slightly to meet Lu Fang's fist. Bang! A wave of ripples rippling out visible to the naked eye. Then the strong wind blew, the execution platform creaked and cracks appeared in the wooden board. The marine and the pirates at the bottom fainted directly to the ground with low psychological quality. Rayleigh's face was pale in less than 2 seconds of touching it. The whole person was like a cannonball, flying out faster than when he came, and hit the huge sea wave ice wall. The entire ice wall is torn apart. Collapsed. Rayleigh flew farther away, missing. How can it be? The most shocking is Sengoku, Zephyr, and Kizaru. It has been suspected many times that Lu Fang is related to the heavenly pirates, and it is speculated that Lu Fang is related to many gods, and even Lu Fang is one of the crew. Now Lu Fang has shown his strength and punched Pluton Rayleigh away for unknown distances. Is he really a certain god of the celestial pirates? Momoshige Gion looked at Lu Fang with a dazed expression. Is this the Lu Fang Rear Admiral who basks in the sun all day and sleeps for a whole day? Mr. Rayleigh. Redhead Shanks was shocked. No one knows Rayleigh's strength better than him. One punch can beat Rayleigh like this. Is it really him? Blackbeard Teach, Berndy Waldo and others behind the Red Earl were shocked. That was Pluton Rayleigh, who flew off with a punch. It's this breath. Earl Hong was frightened and escaped from the wolf lair of the god of destruction. Now he is going into the tiger's mouth again. How is it possible? Who is that execution officer? Shichibukai, Hancock, Hawkeye, Mahawk and others were also very surprised. Does Marine still have such strong people hiding? The nearest Fire Fist ace, his face is full of sweat. That momentum, like the doomsday, oppresses the mind. Who are you, anyway? You'll know right away. Lu Fang turned and stood on the edge of the execution platform. Lol, amazing guy, this kind of use of conquerors. Ace. Whitebeard chuckled in a low voice, seeming to have made some kind of determination. In this battle, I didn't plan to go back. The hand poses to activate the fruit ability. The blow hit the execution stand in the air. Click. The air was torn apart. Just when Whitebeard's attack was about to pass. A flame came in front of the torn air, condensed into a black robe figure, randomly blocking the activation of Whitebeard's ability. A hoarse voice sounded. Whitebeard, don't move. The midair behind the flame-black robe. Thunder and lightning flickered, snow fell, and 2 figures in black robes appeared again. Then 2 black-robed men also arrived from midair in an instant. This is the Sky God Pirate Group. Everyone at Marineford was shocked. Bigmom looked at the flame-black robe, his eyes throbbing. Dressrosa's battle is still vivid. When Earl Hong and the others saw these black-robed figures, they even wanted to turn around and escape. Especially the one that appeared last, that breath, was the god of destruction. Tianjin Pirate Group. 5 elders also looked at the black robe figure that appeared in shock. The 5 powerful auras directly affected the surrounding sea and stirred up stormy waves. 5 black robes floated in the air. The audience was dumbfounded. Shocked. Even Whitebeard looked at the 5 members of the Celestial Pirates with a shocked expression on his face. The breath of the 5 people is so powerful that they are not inferior to them. You are the Celestial Pirate Group. Whitebeard's eyes were throbbing. At this time, the Celestial Pirates appeared, what they wanted to do. Marshal Sengoku shouted in shock. Who are you from the Celestial Pirate Group? What is the purpose? You want to know, we don't mind telling you. As you can see, some people may also recognize us. The thunder and lightning entangled the black-robed Thor, causing the air to tremble, and said in a hoarse voice, I am Thor. Kazuki Odin excitedly looked at the figure of Thor, killed beasts, pirates and severely injured Kaido. The scene of the arrival of thousands of thunder is still in sight. The god who appeared for the first time. The thunder god of the celestial pirates. I am the snow god. The snow god in the black robe was entwined with mist, and snowflakes floated on his body. The gaze under the black robe looked at 5 elders. Killing celestial dragons severely wounded Kizaru's existence. The Marines looked horrified, and all the Marines who were on the scene were basically here, and they were even more shocked. The pirate empress, Boya. Hancock covered his mouth, looking at the snow god excitedly with beautiful eyes. It was the snow god who beheaded celestial dragons and saved her indirectly. I am Vulcan. The flames on his body were tumbling, and the high temperature caused the surrounding air to be twisted, the black robe Vulcan said lightly. Vulcan is the most famous god of the celestial pirates. One person fights against the 3 great pirates. Decapitate the strongest creature Kaido. Beasts pirates are all destroyed. Injured BIGMOM with a single blow. The officers of the BIGMOM pirate group and the pirate group killed 80%. The Don Quixote family only escaped with Doflamingo and a cadre. They are really here. BIGMOM's eyes were full of horror, and he couldn't help retreating. Doflamingo directly frightened his expression and did not dare to move. The first battle of Dressrosa left the 2 of them with a deep horror. I am Shinigami. The breath of the black-robed Shinigami is like the cold of hell, making everyone chill from the bottom of their hearts. Cleaning the fake celestial pirates, beheading 3 celestial dragons, and severely wounding Pluton Rayleigh and Kizaru Admiral Shinigami. People who were close were cold all over, and even those with low mental ability fell directly on the ground, panicking. I am the god of destruction. The last figure in the black robe looked much more ordinary, still speaking in a hoarse voice. Although everyone has never heard of the destroyer god, which one is weak in front of the celestial pirate group. This is also an extremely powerful man. Only the Red Earl, Bullet and others who came out of Impel down, revealed fear, but did not dare to escape easily. As for our purpose, let our captain tell you this. The hoarse voice of the god of destruction smiled. The 5 figures in black robes converged their breath and slowly flew towards the execution platform. 5 elders and Kong slowly left under the execution platform, not daring to get too close to the 5 of them. None of the people present dared to move easily. I looked at the 5 gods, in shock. For the first time in the Heavenly Pirates, so many people appeared at the same time. Even the captain is here. Marineford was silent, everyone watched quietly. Lu Fang glanced at Sengoku, Zephyr, Kizaru and others plainly, and then at Earl Hong, Bullet and others. After scanning around, a smile appeared on his face. Slowly said, well, introduce myself, first a Marine Rear Admiral, and also the execution officer. Lu Fang. The sound entered the ears of the audience. Some people don't know what Rear Admiral is going to say. Marshal Sengoku, Kizaru Pelusalino, Zephyr and others looked at Lu Fang in shock. He, really is a member of the Sky God Pirate Group. These words shocked everyone present. The mysterious Rear Admiral who can knock Rayleigh away with one punch is also a member of the Celestial Pirates. But Red Earl, Blackbeard Teach, Burndy, Waldo, Bullet, and Shiryu of the Rain all looked terrified. The previous guess is correct. Vulcan, Lei Shen and other 5 crossed to the execution platform in midair, knelt in front of Lu Fang on one knee, and shouted at the same time. Captain. The people below are huge shocks. 5 extremely powerful, strong men standing at the top of the world, kneeled on one knee and called Captain Lu Fang. The captain of the Celestial Pirates. Marshal Sengoku and others grew their mouths, and they didn't make a sound for a while. I have always suspected that Lu Fang may be under the command of a certain god, or one of the crew. But still underestimated, Lu Fang turned out to be the captain of the Celestial Pirates. Yes, in addition to the execution officer, you can also call me, God. Lu Fang held the execution knife in one hand and carried it on his shoulder. 5 people in black robes stood behind them. His eyes looked strangely at the criminal who was about to be executed. 5 of them are Lu Fang's ability clones. Except for the sound of waves crashing in Marineford, the audience was extremely silent. Not only Marineford, but also in front of the Sabayati archipelago broadcast screen. After a long time, some voices began to mutter quietly. The sluggish reporters reacted and rushed to spread the news to all parts of the world as soon as possible. The 5 gods of the legendary heavenly pirate group have appeared together. The captain of the celestial pirates, the celestial, is actually Marine Rear Admiral Luo. What will happen? The heavenly god pirate group appears at this time. What is their purpose? Could it be that the celestial pirate group is going to fight everyone again? Shocked. Some people in the archipelago of Sabayati are even looking flustered to stay away from this sea area. Marineford fought at this time. It is not certain whether this sea area still exists or not. With the execution knife in his hand, Lu Fang looked at Bigmom as if looking at a prey. Bigmom is all chilly and will stand up. So horrible. The gods are definitely stronger than the fire gods and others. How to fight this? This god Lu Fang is better than rocks, I don't know how much. There is no comment for the purpose of the heavenly pirates. What can be said is that the most sinful people will definitely be punished. After Lu Fang finished speaking, he flew to Doflamingo and fell slowly. 5 avatars such as Thor and Vulcan encircled the square and harbor in 5 directions to prevent anyone from escaping desperately. You won't be the first to shoot at me. Doflamingo stepped back in fright, with a cold sweat on his face. Turned his head to look at Bigmom in the distance. Bigmom has a sullen face. This war will not stop here. His eyes gradually fierce. Lu Fang glanced at Doflamingo, then at Bigmom, and said with a smile. You can't escape this time. Bigmom and Doflamingo are shocked. The celestial pirates are going to attack them. Big Mom. Doflamingo's awakened string fruit was launched, and a part of the ground under his feet turned into a white ball of thread, and people with artificial abilities attempted to seek refuge at Bigmom. Lu Fang looked indifferent, and Doflamingo and Bigmom got together. Red Earl and others also tried to sneak away at this time. As soon as they moved, the pressure of the destructive spirit of the black robe locked them. You can't escape. In the shock of everyone, the 5 elders took the lead in reacting. The captain of the celestial pirate group. Now that they have all appeared, let's catch them all. Arrange all the power. I don't believe in the so-called god. The 5 elders were on the fortress, grimace, and began to give orders. The pacifists on the field, with 36 figures exactly the same as the violent Kun Shang who began to lose his personality, went straight to Lu Fang. In the CP unit, a few men in black with strange masks came out, bursting out a more powerful aura. Just when the power of the world government began to go to Lu Fang, everyone relaxed their minds. 07. Marco, led everyone back. Whitebeard said with a sullen face to Marco. This war is already a battlefield for the top powerhouses. Let the children retreat and don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Father, you. Marco looked sad. Whitebeard endured physical pain, and there was death in his eyes. Marco. Whitebeard's eyes widened, and he looked at Marco with inexplicable meaning. Everyone, step back. Everyone seemed to forget that this was still a battlefield under the shock of the Sky God Pirate group. Until Marco yelled in the air. Although the members of the Whitebeard pirate group were not reconciled, they slowly gathered behind Whitebeard. The red-haired Shanks and the gang retreated below the other side of the harbor, looking extremely ugly. Not only is this war unstoppable, it is also escalating. If the God Pirate group appeared today, the Captain Tianshan was also exposed, and the target seemed to be everyone. Marine also quickly reorganized and retreated to the square. Shrink the formation. Guard the square, Sengoku yelled. The Marines moved quickly and stopped pestering the people of the Whitebeard pirates. Quickly returned. Marshal Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, 3 Admiral, 4 Alternate Admiral, a group of Vice Admiral, Marine soldiers, are rearranged in the square. The Revolutionary Army had no pressure at this time. Doflamingo leaned in panic towards Bigmom, and the world government's gaze also shifted to Lu Fang, instead staying in place without anxiousness. Everyone's eyes are on Lu Fang. The captain of the Tenjin pirates. Tenjin. What are you going to do? Facing the powerful Marineford, is it to suppress the audience? Lu Fang watched the various forces in jealousy with a wait-and-see attitude. Can't help but laugh. Since you are curious about my strength, you have to keep your eyes open and see clearly. A group of pacifists lined up in front of Lu Fang, condensed with laser light in their mouths. More than 30 rays of light were brewed and emitted, as if a huge beam of light was formed and aimed at Lu Fang. With the explosive power of laser light, the ice surface of the entire harbor will be completely shattered. Lu Fang gently pushed his palm forward. The barrier fruit was activated, and an invisible barrier appeared on the light trajectory. The huge and aggressive laser beam hit the barrier, and even the smoke did not arouse, and disappeared silently. This is what happened. Everyone looked dull. Thunder, little rain. The god Lu Fang's hand pushed forward, and the light of the pacifist disappeared. Lu Fang pushed out his hand and shook the pacifist. The evolved rusty fruit ability is activated. The invisible wave touched the pacifists who were preparing to launch another attack. More than 30 pacifists, including the violent coon bear's body, was corroded from the steel inside. In the stunned people, it turned into a pile of rust powder, which was blown away by the wind. Transformed into powder. What kind of ability is this? The CP's people were frightened and dared not go any further. Lu Fang turned around and ignored him, then turned and flew quickly in the direction of Bigmom. Doflamingo panicked and ran to the Bigmom pirate group with the artificial ability. Joker, can't wait anymore. Ruined Marineford. Ant's fat figure is a little trembling, her expression is hideous. Napoleon's broadsword was tightly held in his hand. Behind Joker, the god Lu Fang is here. Doflamingo quickly took out the phone worm. All the legions are dispatched. Behind Marineford, on the huge ship that Doflamingo had boarded, there were thousands of people with artificial abilities darted out. Strange shape, strange breath. On the ocean behind the ice in the harbor, a ship appeared. It's Vinsmoke from North Blue. Marshal Sengoku opened his eyes wide. Did Vinsmoke collude with Big Mom? The 5 elders grunted. Vinsmoke wants to be removed from the World Government Alliance. The Vinsmoke family in combat uniforms and tens of thousands of soldiers, led by Judge, stood beside Bigmom. There are also thousands of man-made abilities, among them dozens of huge monsters as tall as Oz, zone abilities. 5 huge men with huge statures and horns on their heads came to the front. Doflamingo's panic finally calmed down, and he laughed. Lu Fang, the god of heaven, watched them gather in midair. Yes, there are so many man-made demon fruit powers. Those 5 have the aura of Kaido. They are imitations that you have researched out. Lu Fang faced the tens of thousands of Bigmom coalition army alone, still calm as before. Marines, Revolutionary Army and pirates, swallowed their throats. The Bigmom side showed strength, the power gathered together is terrifying. Red Earl, Bullet and others were also shocked when they looked at them. The Bigmom pirates will die hard to see. The Red Earl's voice was affirmative. He was just like the Roger pirates, and the existence of the Whitebeard pirates knew that the number was not able to withstand a single blow in the face of strength. Whitebeard and Sengoku are even more solemn. Bigmom and Doflamingo even hid such a hand. It seems that it is not just to defeat Marineford. The Devil Fruit, which was researched by collecting blood when healed Kaido's wounds, is the 5 that successfully acquired abilities. Each of them has the power to become a dragon. Bigmom laughed. Kaido was made by Doflamingo's men to create Devil Fruit because of the blood left behind when Thor chased and ran to take refuge. You guys, the assembly is over. Then take it to death. Lu Fang has no waves. Kaido, it was chased and chopped back then. Conquerors is so violent. The pressure of the gods is coming. Lu Fang's momentum is rising. Conquerors full on. The red ripples spread out in waves. A violent air current swept the whole Marineford. The ice surface under Bigmom and others began to crack, which was unbearable. They can't even use conquerors to fight. Vinsmoke's army and some people with artificial abilities directly pressed down on the ground, and Byakugan fainted. The eyes of Bigmom, Doflamingo, Katakuri and others were shocking. The body shuddered under the coercion of Lu Fang. What momentum is this? It seems that the entire sky is pressed down, as if the end is coming. The strong airflow directly blows over some fainted people. The powerful coalition of the Bigmom pirates group collapsed by 80% in an instant. On the field, Bigmom, Doflamingo, etc. and giant-like monsters, 5 giants and officials of Vinsmoke Corps can still stand. The rest were all fainted, blown away, and the ice surface was torn apart and messed up. Everyone in the audience felt the powerful breath of Lu Fang's outbreak of conquerors, and their eyes were extremely shocked. This is the breath of the gods. The strongest conqueror's haki ever. 5 elders couldn't help being shocked, and the figure of Lord Yim emerged in his heart. Lord Yim, there is no such powerful haki. Sweat came out of Whitebeard's face. Lalalo smiled softly. The breath of the gods. Does the D clan have anything to do with him? Blackbeard had sat down directly behind Earl Red, and the breath of death rose from his heart. The heavenly pirates won't let us go. What should I do? The black-robed destroyer was blocking his retreat there, unable to escape at all. Blackbeard Teach looked at Whitebeard, who was frowning in the distance. In fear, evil grew from the gall. Continue to look for opportunities to seize Daddy's abilities. Only with the ability can we have a chance to escape. Lu Fang stopped the outbreak of Conqueror's haki. This is the legion you plan to use against me. The plain tone pierced Bigmom's heart. How could it be? Bigmom and Vinsmoke Judge stabilized their bodies. Looking around, they couldn't believe it. The combatants of these corps are all elites among the elite, and there are people with artificial abilities, and there are not many normal human minds at all. But still under conquerors of the god Lu Fang, he collapsed and fainted. Big Mom. Judge's eyes revealed regret and shouldn't cooperate with Bigmom. How could this kind of enemy win? There is no way out, Judge. The ant yelled with Napoleon's knife in her hand. The 5 gods have blocked all retreats. Obviously, to survive, you must fight their captain. The gifted, come on. The 5 giants, like puppets, obeyed Bigmom's orders. Stepping forward, purple lightning appeared on his body, and his muscles surged. The dragon head and the dragon body change appear. 5 giant purple dragons appeared in the sky. Lu Fang looked at the 5 giant dragons in front of him. Although they were not as huge as Kaido, they were not small, and they were quite powerful. Heat. The 5 dragons' mouths were filled with irritable flames. 5 huge pillars of fire spewed towards Lu Fang at the same time. Snow. Lu Fang stretched out his palm. The cold air radiated. Countless snow flakes condensed in the sky instantly, falling on the surging heat, and steaming. The heat has not yet rushed to half, it dissipates directly. Ice began to form on the heads of the 5 dragons. The dragon body leapt into the air and rolled, avoiding the falling snow. The huge man-made monster behind Bigmom stepped forward towards Lu Fang, swiping his huge fist and attacked. People from all major forces looked at this scene before them, and they were deeply engraved into their minds. The 5 giant dragons hovering in the air had grim expressions, and several monsters as huge as a mountain waved their fists and attacked a small figure in the air. A scene of the gods resisting dragons and monsters. It's so ugly. Lu Fang curled his lips in disgust. The 5 man-made blue dragon fruit-capable monsters are as ugly and strange as those giant monsters. His body is shining brightly, and his body is getting bigger and bigger. How could it be possible? The fruit ability in the form of a big Buddha. Garp's eyes stared, this familiar kick. Turning to look at Marshal Sengoku. Sengoku was also dumbfounded, and his mouth opened wide in shock. Don't forget, the people of the Celestial Pirates are said to use a variety of devil fruit abilities. As the captain of the Celestial God, the terrible level can be imagined. Crane's staff said aloud, the multi-fruit ability, and the same fruit ability, are things that subvert the world's cognition, but it doesn't apply to the Celestial Pirates. Bigmom and others have not come and were surprised. Lu Fang has transformed into a giant Buddha in midair. The whole body is shining golden, majestic and solemn, not wanting to be as bloated as Sengoku, the golden body is full of power. The dragon hovering in midair was grabbed by Lu Fang, and a powerful shock wave brought lightning power to the dragon. I couldn't even struggle. The crackling thunder and lightning caused black smoke to come out of the straight body, and the skin opened under the shock wave. One blow to death. Lu Fang casually threw it to the ground. The dragon body turned into a human form, and his whole body was charred. The 4 dragons stepped back a little in a panic, and the dragon's breath and wind knife blew in their mouths. The attacks of the huge monsters have also arrived. Lu Fang punched in the air with the other hand. A huge white shock wave enveloped Bigmom and others, as well as the dragon in the sky and the giant monster on the ice. Backquote, not good. Bigmom was shocked, and Judge and others hurriedly jumped and escaped from the envelope. Golden light shines in the enveloped area, accompanied by blazing flames. Boom! A loud voice sounded. Everyone was stunned. The shock wave dissipated. What dragons, monsters, powerful legions. The shrouded location was completely wiped out, and even the crescent of the harbor was missing one piece, and only the sea surface existed in that area. Bigmom, you guys run very fast. Lu Fang, who was in a golden figure, turned his head and looked at the position of the harbor where the crescent was missing. 7 of Big No Money Mom, Doflamingo, Katakuri, Judge and others barely escaped from the range. There was still a burning red light on the broken crescent mouth. Too frightening. Judge and his group had completely collapsed, and turned around in fear and fled quickly into the square. What are you fighting? This is God. Vinsmoke ran away. The God. Bigmom completely blushed and looked at Lu Fang. His sanity began to fade and he entered a state of rampage. Interesting. Big Mom. Lu Fang's golden body retreated and turned into a human form faint. Still like the physical state. Doflamingo and others knew there was only one way to go. It is to fight against the gods. As long as they can shake the gods by one step, many strong players on the scene will take action. The gods have given up using the form of a big Buddha. Katakuri said with a sigh of relief. At this time, Lu Fang burst into flames again. Don't get me wrong, I just want to use fire. A monstrous flame burst out of Lu Fang, like the sun, exuding desperate heat. The sea below made a sneer, turning into mist and evaporating. Doflamingo and others faced the high temperature and couldn't help but step back. On the square and in the harbor, people from all walks of life couldn't express it. The gods actually used flames to deal with Bigmom and others. In the Battle of Sares Rosa, Bigmom and others escaped under the hands of Vulcan. The gods used flames to express that they could not escape the sanctions of the flames. Ace's fire power. This is Mara Fruit's ability. On the execution stage, Ace looked at Lu Fang in horror. Whitebeard's eyes widened and his mind was shocked. This is Ace's Mara Fruit ability. The power of this level of development. There was a lot of discussion from all sides. At this time, 3 figures flew upside down from the edge of Marineford into the square. Red Earl, Bullet, Burndy, Waldo. The 3 of them wanted to escape, but were slapped back by the avatar under the black robe. The god of destruction slapped them back. Either win the captain, or die. The hoarse voice of the god of destruction sounded. The 3 turned their heads to look at the place between Lu Fang and Bigmom. Lu Fang hangs in the air like a scorching sun, and heat waves are coming in waves. Bigmom and others are about to attack Lu Fang. The 3 people of Red Earl were pale. I don't seem to have a choice, I can't rush out. I feel that the god of destruction has moved to kill. Count Red took a deep breath and stood up with his painful body. The Rear Admiral, no, that god must be stronger than the destroyer god. We have no chance of winning against him. It is better to unite with other people who want to escape and attack destroyer's blockade. Burndy. Waldo watched Lu Fang, who was overwhelmingly powerful, turned into a flame, allowed Bigmom and others to attack, and talked. That's Charlotte Linlin. The people on the Rock's ship were also monster-like strengths back then, but in front of the god Lu Fang could not be hurt by an attack. No, do you think other gods will be slow? Marineford is so big, and support comes in an instant. If you can't escape, you will die. Bullet said in horror, let alone the 2, the god of destruction will kick the strength of a legendary figure, and then you will die. Besides, there are 4 other gods there. It seems that we can only join forces with Bigmom and others. Red Earl thought for a long time, ready to take action. The 3 of them treated the Marine next to them as air, and they discussed themselves. The Marines swallowed their throats, dumbfounded. Looking at the appearance of Earl Hong and the others, he is about to attack the gods. Kong said with his arms around 5 elders. We have never seen such a strong person. Sora, do you have any suggestions? Even if it was 5 elders, facing a god who was stronger than Whitebeard Newgate, he was already shocked. If the 5 elders can't come out, they can only play on all Marines, but the chances of losing are very high, he is too strong. Kong's tone was full of surprise. How many powerhouses he has seen in the world, even rocks is not half as powerful as the aura of the gods. Five elders' expressions were startled, uneasy. The attacks of Doflamingo and Katakuli were useless, and the abilities of String Fruit and Nuo Fruit were burned before Luo Fang was in contact with them. Only Bigmom can attack Luo Fang, who is rising in flames but cannot cause damage. Under Bigmom's frantic attack, his red eyes gradually became clear. Holding Napoleon's sword in his hand, he used his whole body strength. The soul fruit gives the soul of the surrounding sea, shouting Mom. Formed a giant wave to the sky and shoot Luo Fang. With a full blow in his hand, the fat figure quickly went to Luo Fang and cut it off with a single blow. Weo! Luo Fang was still photographed by the giant wave and stretched out a finger, hockey covered it. Ding! Purple and red hockey exudes. Luo Fang blocked Bigmom's full blow with one finger. The flame on his body rose instantly, and the huge wave was directly evaporated. Bigmom was scorched by the high temperature of the flame, and couldn't help but retreat. Luo Fang's flame did not go out, his left hand grabbed Bigmom's neck in an instant. His right hand hit the face. The flame fist left a burn mark on Bigmom's face. The pain of burns on the face and the dizziness and pain of being hit on the head caused Bigmom to suffer double torture. I was pinched and couldn't scream. Luo Fang casually threw it. Bigmom's huge figure was thrown on the floor of Crescent Bay, making a muffled noise, lying on the ground only breathing. Luo Fang landed, stepped on Bigmom's head, looked at Doflamingo and Katakuri, smiled lightly. Don't save me. Other people watching, including Kong, Whitebeard, Garp and other top combat powers were horrified and sweated. Bigmom, one of the four emperors, was like a monster. It couldn't get up with a punch. Move. Doflamingo and Katakuli looked at Luo Fang in shock. Bigmom was stepped under the foot. Mother. Katakuli didn't care about being afraid, and pulled out a huge glutinous fist, covering hockey and hammering towards Luo Fang. In a panic, Doflamingo turned the floor buildings around Luo Fang into clumps of threads to stab Luo Fang. Luo Fang waved his hand, and a huge lightning flashed out, like a docile electric dragon, smashing the big glutinous fist and continuing to Katakuri and Doflamingo. Die! Doflamingo's eyes revealed madness. At this time, the god Luo Fang didn't have a flame shield on his body, and he might be able to penetrate it. Facing the thunder and lightning, I also struggled to stab. Boom! The thunder and lightning struck the two of them, and with the last thunder, this corner of Crescent Bay was completely torn apart, and the thunder dragon disappeared to the ground. Katakuri and Doflamingo's blue lightning surged, and Byakugan knelt on the broken ground. The string fruit ability, which is like a sharp knife, was blocked by an invisible barrier in the process of stabbing. Luo Fang smiled lightly, and waved a flame towards the two of them. At this time, a figure kicked the two away. Red Earl in red tuxedo. Not far away, aiming at Luo Fang's Burndi. Waldo with a large marine muzzle. And Bullet, standing on the edge of the harbor, is absorbing all the surrounding inorganic matter such as warships to form a battle armor. You are finally here to take action. Luo Fang stepped on Bigmom's head and said with interest. Luo Fang Rear Admiral. No, Lord Tiantian. Burndi Waldo looked serious and said. Can you let us go? When you committed your sins, you thought about letting others go. Luo Fang said flatly. As the execution officer, execute the most wicked person. Earl Red's breath rose, hockey radiated, and instantly disappeared in place. A punch came in front of Luo Fang in an instant. Bigmom under his feet suddenly struggled. Luo Fang frowned slightly, his feet broke out. Stepped Bigmom's head directly under the rocky ground. A big pit appeared with a bang, and the cold air made Bigmom's whole person frozen. Red Earl's unparalleled fist is also in front of Luo Fang. A finger points out. Luo Fang gently blocked the fist of Earl Hong. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.